Welcome to the Communication Blueprint. Advance your career in 5 days. We're excited to have you here and eager to help you transform your communication skills for professional success. This course is designed to equip you with essential communication tools that will create a lasting impact on your career. Whether you want to enhance your leadership presence, improve teamwork, or sharpen your personal communication, you'll find powerful techniques that you can apply immediately. The structure of this course ensures that you don't just learn theory, you'll gain practical, actionable skills that can be implemented from day one. Now, this course has been designed to have an engaging structure, starting with video lessons. These high-quality tutorials are designed to break down key communication strategies, making it easy to learn and apply new techniques right away in your workplace. Each lesson delivers practical insights to help you master the concepts with confidence. After each chapter, you'll be able to test your knowledge with interactive quizzes. These quizzes are tailored to reinforce your learning and ensure you've mastered essential communication techniques. With every step, you'll gain the tools and knowledge needed to communicate more effectively. In this Communication Blueprint course, you'll not only learn key points but also put your skills to the test in real-world situations. First, real-world assignments give you the chance to apply what you've learned through hands-on exercises. These assignments help you practice and refine your communication in workplace scenarios, ensuring you're ready for the challenges ahead. Next, explore expert-led podcasts where you'll dive deep into leadership communication strategies. You'll have exclusive access to these podcasts where we provide deeper insights as well as concise, insightful summaries that reinforce key concepts and provide a convenient way to revisit the material, ensuring you can absorb the course content anytime, anywhere. Finally, assess your progress with practice tests. These comprehensive evaluations will ensure you're fully prepared to communicate with confidence in any professional setting. With these practical tools, you'll master the art of leadership communication and be ready to apply your skills in the real world. In Chapter 1, Mastering the Foundations of Effective Communication in the Workplace, we'll explore the essential skills you need for professional success. First, we'll cover workplace communication importance. You'll understand why effective communication is the cornerstone of professional success and how mastering it can transform your career. Second, we'll dive into the communication process blueprint. Here you'll learn techniques for both delivering and receiving messages effectively, ensuring your ideas are not only heard but understood and acted upon. Next, we'll explore communication styles. You'll discover how to identify and adapt to different communication styles, enabling you to connect with a wide range of personalities in the workplace. Finally, we'll tackle overcoming communication barriers. You'll learn how to recognize and resolve hidden obstacles that can disrupt workplace interactions, ensuring smoother, more effective communication. By mastering these foundational skills, you'll be well equipped to communicate with confidence and clarity in any professional setting. Next, we'll look at Chapter 2 on building trust and rapport through effective communication. Here we'll focus on creating meaningful workplace relationships. Firstly, in this chapter, we'll explore trust in communication. You'll learn how trust forms the foundation of effective workplace relationships and why it's essential for collaboration. Secondly, we'll dive into empathy. You'll enhance your ability to understand and relate to your colleagues, making your communication more effective and compassionate. Next, we'll look at transparency and honesty. You'll discover the power of open communication and how being transparent can strengthen your relationships and foster a more trusting environment. Finally, in this chapter, we'll cover building credibility. You'll learn how to develop expertise and trustworthiness, ensuring your colleagues see you as a reliable leader and communicator. By mastering these principles, you'll create a more collaborative, supportive, and effective workplace environment. Next is Chapter 3, where we'll focus on the art of persuasion. How to influence and inspire in the workplace. Here you'll dive into the key elements that make communication persuasive and impactful. We begin this chapter by examining the psychology of persuasion, where you'll learn the essential principles that drive influential communication and how to apply them effectively in your leadership style. Next, you'll focus on message structure, discovering how to organize your thoughts to ensure your message is both clear and compelling, leaving a lasting impression on your audience. Then we'll explore emotional appeal, where you'll understand how tapping into emotions can elevate your communication and create a strong connection with your listeners, helping you drive action. Finally, you'll learn about influencing across levels. This section equips you with the ability to persuade colleagues and stakeholders, regardless of your position, allowing you to lead and inspire with or without formal authority. By studying and practicing these techniques, you'll become a more powerful and persuasive communicator in any professional setting. In Chapter 4, we'll look at nonverbal communication, mastering body language and tone. Here you'll explore the subtle yet powerful ways we communicate without words. We start by examining body language impact, where you'll discover how your posture and gestures can influence the perception of your message, either reinforcing or undermining what you say. Next, you'll delve into facial expressions, uncovering the role facial cues play in conveying emotions and how they can enhance the clarity and intent of your communication. We then move on to tone of voice, where you'll learn how elements like pitch, pace, and volume shape the way your message is received, making your communication more effective and engaging. Finally, we'll cover reading nonverbal cues, helping you improve your ability to pick up on unspoken messages and interactions, allowing for more insightful and responsive communication. Then finally, in Chapter 5, we look at active listening, enhancing your ability to understand and connect. Here you'll master the essential skill of listening attentively to build stronger connections and improve communication. We begin with active listening fundamentals, where you'll learn the key principles behind truly listening to others and how this skill can dramatically enhance your relationships. Next, you'll explore techniques for focused attention and comprehension, diving into methods that will help you stay fully present in conversations, ensuring you understand and retain information accurately. We'll then look at overcoming listening barriers, identifying common challenges that can disrupt your ability to listen effectively, and providing strategies to overcome them. Lastly, we'll focus on identifying and addressing distractions, teaching you how to manage external and internal distractions so you can maintain your focus and engage fully with the speaker. By the end of this chapter, you'll have the tools to become a more attentive, empathetic listener, enhancing your overall communication and leadership effectiveness. So by the end of this course, you'll not only have a deeper understanding of communication's role in leadership and collaboration, but you'll also have gained practical skills that you can immediately apply in your day-to-day work. Let's get started and take your communication and your career to the next level. Welcome to Chapter 1. This chapter is focused on mastering workplace communication and is all about empowering you with the tools and skills to become a confident, effective communicator. Why is communication so essential in the workplace? It's simple. Communication is the foundation of everything. It's how we share ideas, resolve conflicts, and collaborate towards common goals. Without clear communication, even the most well-thought-out plans can crumble. Think of it as the glue that holds all parts of a team together. When you communicate effectively, you're not just speaking. You're listening, clarifying, and ensuring that everyone is aligned. Strong communication skills help you build trust with your colleagues, prevent misunderstandings, and create an atmosphere of openness and collaboration. Whether you're negotiating a contract or just chatting in the break room, communication is your key to building stronger relationships and driving success. Let's talk about the real-world impact of communication, both good and bad. Poor communication leads to misunderstandings, project delays, errors, and even damaged relationships. It creates confusion, drains morale, and can grind progress to a halt. Think of how many times you've seen a simple miscommunication turn into a major issue. How frustrating is that? On the flip side, good communication builds trust and boosts productivity. It enables teams to collaborate smoothly, resolve problems quickly, and work towards shared goals. When everyone is clear on their roles and expectations, things just flow better. Improving your communication skills will directly lead to better team dynamics and, ultimately, greater success for you and your projects. In any communication, clarity is the foundation of understanding. Without it, messages can become distorted, leading to miscommunication and confusion. Today, we will explore 3 essential aspects of clarity that can transform how we communicate effectively. The first step to ensuring clarity in communication is preventing miscommunication. Always make sure that both the sender and the receiver are on the same page. This can be achieved by confirming understanding at each stage of the conversation. It avoids confusion and ensures everyone is aligned with the message. Secondly, it's essential to provide context. When communicating, always explain your thought process to ensure that the listener fully understands your intentions. Checking for understanding allows you to verify that the message was interpreted correctly, further reducing the risk of miscommunication. Lastly, avoid making assumptions. Never assume that others share your knowledge, experiences, or perspective. By clarifying expectations and asking for feedback, you ensure that all parties have the same level of understanding, which fosters a clearer and more effective exchange of information. Strong relationships are the bedrock of any successful workplace. Communication is the bridge that connects people. And effective communication fosters trust, and trust is what allows teams to function cohesively. When people know they can rely on you to communicate openly and clearly, they feel more comfortable collaborating and sharing ideas. It's also important to listen. Communication is a two-way street. Listening actively shows respect for your colleagues' ideas and contributions. When people feel heard, they are more likely to engage and contribute their best. This leads to stronger collaboration, better ideas, and a more harmonious work environment. Keep in mind, great communication isn't just about what you say. It's also about how you make others feel. Let's dive into some expert tips that can save you time and effort while boosting your communication effectiveness. First, let's talk about clarification. How often do we assume that everyone is on the same page, only to find out later that they weren't? Asking for clarification or summarizing key points at the end of a discussion can prevent hours of fixing mistakes or redoing work. It's a small action with big rewards. Next, invest a little extra time up front. Spending just a few minutes clarifying roles, expectations, or deliverables can save hours of back-and-forth emails or meetings down the road. And finally, encourage an environment where people feel comfortable asking questions. This fosters open dialogue, reduces confusion, and ensures that everyone feels confident in their roles. These tips might seem simple, but they are powerful tools to improve communication and productivity. Now, it's time for a self-reflection exercise that will help you pinpoint areas to improve your communication. Start by thinking of a recent situation at work where communication broke down. What happened? Was the message unclear, or did assumptions play a role? Identifying these factors is the first step to better understanding how you can improve. Next, ask yourself what could have been done differently. Could you have added more context or checked for understanding? Writing down your thoughts will help cement the lesson in your mind. Finally, make a plan for how you will approach similar situations in the future. By reflecting on your own experiences, you're taking control of your growth as a communicator. Let's explore a real-world scenario that highlights the importance of clear communication. Sarah, a project manager, sent an email assigning tasks to her team, assuming everyone understood their roles. However, some team members were unclear, and the project faced delays. What went wrong? In Sarah's case, she made the mistake of assuming that her team had the same understanding of the project as she did. Without further clarification, this assumption led to confusion. How could Sarah have handled this better? A quick follow-up meeting or a summary email could have ensured that everyone was aligned. Asking team members to summarize their understanding of the tasks could have prevented the delays. This example highlights a simple but powerful truth. Don't leave communication to chance. Always check for understanding. George Bernard Shaw's quote is a perfect reminder of one of the biggest pitfalls in communication. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. How often have you thought you communicated clearly, only to find out later that your message wasn't understood at all? This happens far too often, especially in fast-paced environments where we don't always take the time to confirm understanding. To avoid this, make it a habit to confirm key points in your discussions. Repeat important details, ask for feedback, and encourage others to ask questions. The goal is to eliminate assumptions and ensure that everyone is truly on the same page. Let's wrap up this section with some useful tips that will help you improve your communication. First, always confirm understanding. It might feel repetitive, but confirming that your message was received as intended is essential. Ask questions like, "Does that make sense?" or "Can you repeat back what you understood?" to check if everyone is aligned. Second, be specific. Vague language or unclear instructions can create confusion. Instead, use direct, concise language to ensure your message is clear. And finally, encourage open dialogue. Make it known that questions are welcome. When people feel comfortable asking for clarification, you'll see fewer mistakes, better collaboration, and improved overall results. These simple tips can elevate your communication and lead to greater success in any workplace. The communication process is much more than just sending a message. It is a dynamic and interactive blueprint that involves encoding, transmitting, decoding, and receiving feedback. To communicate effectively, both the sender and receiver need to align in their understanding. Misalignment at any stage can lead to confusion, misinterpretation, and breakdowns in communication. To master communication, you must first understand each component of the process. Only by doing this can you ensure your message is not only delivered but also understood in the way you intended. By learning the intricacies of this process, you will become a more effective communicator, able to convey complex ideas and ensure they are received clearly. The sender-message-receiver framework breaks down communication into 3 essential steps: encoding, transmitting, and decoding. Encoding is the first step, where the sender crafts the message with the receiver's perspective in mind. This is where clear and intentional communication begins. You need to think about how the message will be understood and make sure to avoid any ambiguity. Transmitting is all about choosing the right medium to deliver your message. Should it be a phone call, email, or face-to-face meeting, the channel you choose will have a significant impact on how the message is received. Decoding is the final step, where the receiver interprets the message. Ideally, they should understand it as you intended. However, issues can arise at this stage if there are any barriers to communication, such as unclear language or distractions. Communication breakdowns can happen at any stage of the process, and here are the 3 most common reasons why. Unclear messages occur when the encoding of the message is not done properly. If the sender fails to provide clarity or context, it can lead to misunderstandings. This can be avoided by double-checking your message for clarity before sending it out. Distractions are another common reason for breakdowns. Whether external factors like noise or internal factors like multitasking, distractions can prevent the receiver from fully engaging with the message. It is important to minimize these distractions when transmitting or receiving messages. Finally, emotional state plays a critical role. If the receiver is upset, stressed, or otherwise emotionally affected, it can distort how they interpret the message. Being mindful of the receiver's emotional state can help ensure your message is received as intended. When communicating, it's essential to recognize that how a message is received or decoded can often face challenges. Let's explore 3 common issues that can hinder accurate decoding. First, let's consider workload. A heavy workload can significantly impact how a message is interpreted. When individuals are overwhelmed with tasks, they may not have the mental focus to fully process the message, leading to misunderstandings. Second, we have the complexity of the message. If a message is overly complex or filled with too much information, it can be difficult to accurately decode. Clear and concise communication is key to ensuring the message is received as intended. Third, personal biases, assumptions, or other distractions can distort how a message is perceived. These distractions can cause individuals to miss key details or interpret the message in unintended ways. The feedback loop is essential in ensuring that communication is clear and understood. The process consists of 4 key steps. First, send the message. The sender transmits the encoded message to the receiver. Second, the receiver decodes the message and interprets its meaning. Third, the receiver provides feedback, confirming their understanding or asking questions to clarify any doubts. Finally, the sender adjusts communication based on the feedback. This could mean clarifying points, rephrasing, or further explaining details. The feedback loop helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that both parties are on the same page. To be an effective communicator, there are 4 strategies you should always keep in mind. Be clear. Use simple and concise language to convey your message. Avoid jargon or complex words that could cause confusion. The clearer your message, the more likely it will be understood as intended. Consider context. Always think about the receiver's perspective and the context of the situation. Tailor your message based on their needs, expectations, and background. Seek feedback. Actively ask for feedback to ensure your message was understood. Encourage the receiver to ask questions and confirm understanding. Adapt. Be flexible in your communication style. Some situations require a more formal tone while others call for a conversational approach. Adjust based on the context and the receiver. In this activity, you will apply what you have learned by analyzing a real-world communication situation. Step 1. Think of a recent situation where communication failed at work. This could be a meeting where people left confused or an email that led to misunderstandings. Step 2. Break down the communication process. What was the message, how was it sent, and how was it received? Consider all the factors involved. Step 3. Identify where the breakdown occurred. Was the message unclear? Was the wrong medium used? Or was there a lack of feedback? Pinpointing the issue is crucial for improvement. Step 4. Write down how feedback or clarifying questions could have improved the situation. What could you or others have done differently to prevent the miscommunication? Let's take a look at a real-world example to illustrate the importance of clear communication. Scenario: John, a team leader, sends an email outlining a shift in project priorities. Some team members interpret this as reducing the scope of the project while others believe new tasks are being added. This leads to confusion and delays. Solution: John could have held a short meeting to explain the changes and answer questions. By asking each team member to summarize their understanding of the new priorities, John could have ensured everyone was aligned and avoided the delays caused by misinterpretation. This example shows how important it is to confirm understanding. Peter Drucker's quote sums up a crucial point. The meaning of communication is the response it elicits. Communication is not just about what is said, it is about how it is received and the action it provokes. Even if you think you have communicated clearly, if the other person does not understand or respond appropriately, then the communication has failed. This reminds us to focus on the outcome of our communication, not just the message itself. Always consider how your message will be received and what kind of response you want to generate. Here are some useful tips to keep in mind when communicating. Focus on the response. If the response to your message is not what you expected, consider how you communicated. Did you use the right tone and clarity? Was the message structured properly? Ask for feedback. Ensure your message was understood by asking, "Can you explain how you plan to move forward based on our discussion?" This helps identify any misunderstandings early. Adapt based on feedback. If your message was not understood as intended, rephrase or adjust it. The goal is mutual understanding, so be flexible and open to adapting your approach when necessary. Effective communication is an essential part of any workplace environment. It influences how we engage with our colleagues, approach tasks, and work toward common goals. In any organization, there are various communication styles that shape how messages are delivered and received. Understanding these different styles is key to improving interaction and ensuring that collaboration is smooth and effective. Without this awareness, misunderstandings can arise, leading to conflicts or delays in work processes. The DISC model serves as a framework to categorize these communication styles into 4 distinct types. By recognizing and appreciating these styles, you can tailor your approach depending on who you're interacting with. This understanding is not just about getting your point across, but also about enhancing engagement and creating a more inclusive environment. When we communicate effectively, we foster a culture of respect and collaboration, reducing the likelihood of misinterpretation and fostering stronger relationships. The DISC model offers a comprehensive breakdown of communication into 4 core styles. Each style reflects different personality traits and approaches to interaction. For example, the dominant style is characterized by directness, results-driven behavior, and an emphasis on efficiency. Individuals who exhibit this style often prefer conversations to be straightforward and goal-oriented. They value speed and effectiveness, seeking to achieve their objectives with minimal distractions or deviations. On the other hand, the influence style is centered around positivity, enthusiasm, and relationship building. People with this style are often engaging and people-oriented. They thrive in environments where there is plenty of interaction, energy, and optimism. By understanding where your colleagues fall within the DISC model, you can adjust your communication approach accordingly, ensuring that your messages resonate with them and are received as intended. This adjustment not only improves efficiency but also builds stronger, more harmonious working relationships. When communicating with someone who follows the dominant communication style, it is important to keep your messages clear, direct, and focused on outcomes. These individuals tend to appreciate conversations that get to the point quickly without unnecessary details or distractions. They are often results-driven and prefer interactions that allow them to make decisions swiftly and efficiently. To connect with a dominant communicator, focus on delivering your key points concisely and with purpose. It's also critical to convey confidence when speaking with someone who exhibits this style. Dominant communicators respond well to assertiveness and clear, actionable information. By presenting your ideas confidently and focusing on solutions, you will engage their interest and respect. The key is to maintain a sense of urgency and efficiency, as these individuals are typically fast-paced and prefer a no-nonsense approach to decision-making and problem-solving. The influence communication style is rooted in enthusiasm, positivity, and a focus on building relationships. Individuals who align with this style tend to be expressive and thrive on social interaction. To effectively engage with an influence communicator, it is essential to match their energy and show enthusiasm during your conversations. These individuals appreciate an optimistic tone and are more likely to stay engaged when the communication is lively and interactive. Acknowledging their contributions and recognizing their ideas is another powerful way to connect with this communication style. Influence communicators enjoy being part of collaborative discussions, and their involvement often sparks creativity and innovation within teams. Encouraging social interaction and creating opportunities for open dialogue will not only make them feel valued, but will also foster a more positive and collaborative working environment. By focusing on relationship building, you will ensure their sustained engagement in the conversation. Communicating with individuals who exhibit the steadiness style requires a calm, patient, and supportive approach. These individuals typically value consistency, reliability, and a steady pace in their interactions. When engaging with someone of this style, it is crucial to be patient, allowing them time to reflect on your points and respond thoughtfully. They tend to prefer an environment where interactions are calm and free from pressure, which allows them to process information more comfortably. A key component of effective communication with steadiness communicators is maintaining a reassuring and supportive tone throughout your interaction. These individuals thrive in collaborative settings where they feel supported and understood. By fostering a team-oriented approach and emphasizing mutual cooperation, you will build trust and create a space where they feel comfortable contributing. This style values inclusiveness, so it's important to ensure that everyone feels heard and respected during discussions. For individuals who align with the conscientiousness communication style, precision, accuracy, and logic are of utmost importance. These communicators are highly detail-oriented and prefer structured, well-reasoned conversations. When interacting with someone of this style, it is essential to provide thorough, fact-based information to support your points. These individuals are analytical and expect accuracy in both the content and delivery of your messages. Additionally, conscientious communicators appreciate a well-organized approach. They value logic and clarity in arguments, so it's important to present your thoughts systematically, ensuring that each point follows logically from the previous one. By focusing on precision and providing them with clear, reliable data, you can earn their trust and ensure that your message is received with the seriousness it deserves. Engaging them through an intellectual approach is key to keeping their interest and building rapport. This activity is designed to encourage reflection on your personal communication style and to identify areas for growth. In the first step, take time to consider which communication style from the DISC model resonates most with your behavior. Are you more results-driven like the dominant style, or do you emphasize building relationships like the influence style? Understanding your default style is the first step toward improving your interactions. The second step invites you to think about a recent conversation where you exhibited this communication style. Did this style help or hinder the conversation? Reflecting on past experiences will help you understand when your style works well and when it might create challenges. Moving forward, identify one area where you can improve, whether it's being more assertive, practicing active listening, or finding ways to balance your communication style more effectively. In this scenario, Emily, a manager, struggles with a colleague named Alex who frequently dominates conversations during team meetings. Alex's aggressive style of communication not only interrupts others but also discourages quieter team members from contributing. This limits the overall effectiveness of the team, as valuable input from other members is often lost in the process. Emily recognizes the need to address this issue in a way that encourages balanced participation without stifling Alex's enthusiasm. To resolve this, Emily can implement ground rules for respectful communication during meetings. For example, introducing a round-robin format where each team member gets an equal opportunity to speak can help ensure that all voices are heard. Additionally, Emily can privately coach Alex on how to express his ideas more assertively while also being mindful of allowing space for others to contribute. This approach fosters a more inclusive and productive environment where every team member feels valued. Assertiveness plays a vital role in effective communication. It is not simply about what you say or how you act in a single conversation, but rather an expression of who you are as a communicator. As Shakti Gawain insightfully points out, assertiveness is not what you do, it's who you are. This means that assertiveness stems from your confidence and self-awareness, which allows you to express your thoughts and opinions clearly while respecting the views of others. Being assertive means striking a balance between confidence and humility, ensuring that you communicate your needs without being overly aggressive or passive. Assertiveness is about creating space for honest, open dialogue while maintaining mutual respect. By cultivating this trait, you will improve not only how you communicate but also how you are perceived by others in both professional and personal settings. One essential tip for effective communication is to balance confidence and respect. When communicating with someone who exhibits the dominant communication style, it's important to express your thoughts clearly and assertively without overwhelming the conversation. By maintaining confidence in your delivery while being mindful of the other person's input, you can foster more productive discussions. For individuals who align with the steady or conscientious styles, respect and patience are key to building trust and ensuring that your message is well received. Additionally, it's important to recognize the communication styles of those you're interacting with and adapt your approach accordingly. For example, engaging an influence communicator requires enthusiasm and positivity, while conscientious communicators prefer detailed, factual information. By tailoring your communication to align with the other person's style, you increase the likelihood of successful exchanges. Active listening is another critical skill, as it shows your willingness to understand and engage with the viewpoints of others, fostering stronger, more productive relationships. Let's now explore how to overcome barriers to communication in the workplace. It is essential to recognize and resolve hidden obstacles that may hinder effective communication. In the professional world, communication barriers can appear in many forms, but early identification of these barriers is crucial. By doing so, we can prevent misunderstandings, ensuring smoother and more productive conversations. These barriers can range from physical challenges to emotional or cultural differences. Effective communication is built on the foundation of addressing these barriers proactively. Whether it's overcoming noise disruptions or dealing with complex cultural dynamics, resolving these issues fosters a more open and collaborative environment. Understanding and addressing barriers early on reduces potential conflicts and misunderstandings, creating a space where clear communication can thrive. This makes teams more cohesive and efficient. Now let's examine the different types of communication barriers. The first type includes physical barriers. These are the external conditions like noise or poor technological connections that can disrupt the flow of communication. Such barriers can hinder message delivery, leading to confusion and misunderstanding. Addressing physical barriers early helps maintain clarity and efficiency in workplace communication. Apart from physical barriers, emotional and cultural barriers are equally significant. Emotional barriers may stem from frustration, stress, or negative emotions that affect how messages are interpreted. On the other hand, cultural barriers arise from differences in communication styles, leading to misinterpretation. Understanding these types of barriers allows for better preparation and strategies to overcome them. Let's now explore how to address physical barriers in communication. Physical barriers can range from noise in the environment to issues with technology or improper tools for communication. To overcome these barriers, it is crucial to ensure that the environment is conducive to clear communication. This means minimizing distractions, whether they are physical or technical, and making sure everyone has the tools they need for effective dialogue. Additionally, it is important to provide access to appropriate tools that can enhance communication. This can be as simple as ensuring a reliable internet connection during virtual meetings or ensuring soundproof areas in physical meeting rooms. Taking small steps to minimize these distractions can significantly enhance the effectiveness of workplace communication. Next, we will discuss emotional barriers and how to overcome them. Emotional barriers often arise when stress, frustration, or anger interfere with the message being communicated. To manage these effectively, recognizing emotions during communication is key. This allows for acknowledgement of the emotional state of both the speaker and the listener, fostering a more understanding and empathetic approach. Practicing empathy is a powerful tool for overcoming emotional barriers. By putting oneself in another person's shoes and considering their perspective, communication becomes more effective. Additionally, adapting your communication based on emotional cues can improve how the message is received. Being aware of emotional barriers and taking steps to navigate them is a valuable skill in ensuring smooth interactions. Let's now look at navigating cultural barriers. Cultural differences can significantly impact communication styles. These differences may arise from varying customs, languages, or communication norms. To overcome these challenges, developing cultural awareness is essential. This involves learning about different norms and being respectful of the diverse backgrounds and values present in the workplace. In addition to cultural awareness, language adaptation is important. Using clear, simple language and avoiding idiomatic expressions can prevent misunderstandings across cultures. Respecting these differences creates a more inclusive and harmonious work environment. By actively considering cultural factors, we can foster better communication and ensure everyone is understood and respected. Now let's focus on how to create effective communication. Effective communication begins with self-awareness. Understanding your own communication style and biases allows for better interactions with others. By identifying personal tendencies in communication, you can adapt more effectively to different situations. This awareness is the first step toward improving communication skills. Moreover, adaptability and continuous improvement play a significant role. It is important to adjust your communication style based on the audience and context, ensuring that the message is delivered in the most effective way possible. Regularly seeking feedback and making adjustments help to refine communication skills, ultimately leading to stronger and clearer connections in the workplace. In this slide, we will engage in an activity to identify communication barriers. Start by reflecting on a recent situation where you faced communication challenges at work. Were there distractions, emotional reactions, or technology issues that affected how the message was received? This reflection helps in pinpointing the barriers you encountered and analyzing the circumstances. Next, consider how these barriers could have been addressed. Could you have changed the environment or adjusted your communication style? Planning how to address similar barriers in the future can improve your ability to communicate effectively. This step-by-step approach will give you a better understanding of how to minimize or overcome communication obstacles in real time. Let's take a look at a real-world example to better understand communication barriers. Jane, a project manager, holds a virtual meeting where the video connection is poor and the background noise is distracting. As a result, several team members miss key points during the discussion, which hinders the progress of the meeting. This scenario illustrates how physical and technological barriers can significantly impact communication. To address this issue, Jane could have rescheduled the meeting or ensured a quieter environment with a better internet connection. She could also follow up with a written summary of the meeting to clarify any missed details. This example highlights the importance of taking proactive measures to minimize communication barriers and ensure everyone is on the same page. Let's now discuss a crucial aspect of communication, which is the ability to listen beyond words. As Peter Drucker wisely said, the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. This highlights that effective communication is not just about the spoken words, but also about paying attention to nonverbal cues, tone, and the context behind the conversation. Often, what remains unsaid carries more weight than the words themselves, making it important to stay attuned to subtle signals. Listening actively and understanding these unspoken elements can significantly improve the quality of communication. Whether in a professional setting or in personal conversations, this skill allows you to empathize and connect more deeply with others. When you focus not just on words but on the full message being conveyed, you create more meaningful and impactful interactions. This ensures that you can address concerns, understand needs, and respond more effectively. Lastly, we will cover some useful tips for overcoming communication barriers. First, choose the right environment for communication. A quiet, distraction-free space is essential to ensure the message is delivered clearly. This includes eliminating background noise and technical issues that may interfere with the conversation. Being mindful of your environment is the first step in ensuring smooth communication. Additionally, addressing emotional and cultural barriers is crucial. Acknowledge the emotional state of your audience and adapt your message accordingly. If you are communicating with someone from a different cultural background, take the time to understand their communication style and avoid potential misunderstandings. Being aware of these factors helps create a more respectful and effective communication dynamic.
All right, everybody, get ready, because today we are taking a deep dive into a chapter all about workplace communication. Let me tell you, this one's a game changer, packed with strategies to make sure your ideas are heard, really heard.
It's interesting how communication, being so fundamental to success at work, still trips so many of us up.
For sure, for sure.
But like any skill, we can definitely improve our communication.
This chapter really emphasized that, it's not just about avoiding those communication mishaps.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into a team's full potential. It's about sparking innovation. And honestly, it's about making work a more positive place to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has such a ripple effect, doesn't it? Think about Sarah's story in the chapter, for example.
Oh, yeah.
She's leading this project, and she kind of just assumes everyone's on the same page, because they've tackled similar projects before.
Right.
But that assumption, that one assumption, leads to missed deadlines and a whole lot of confusion.
Ooh, yeah, we've all been there. And then there's John. Remember John's email about the project priorities changing?
Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, how many ways can one email be misinterpreted? It's unreal.
John's email, though, it really drives home how even the most straightforward communication can go off the rails.
It's true.
What's interesting is that it kind of uncovers a core truth about communication, which is it's not just about talking or writing, it's about making sure the message lands how you intended, that the other person actually understands.
It's like that quote, what is it? The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw, I think.
So true. And this is where understanding the communication process can be really, really helpful.
Totally. And speaking of, the chapter talks about this thing called the sender message receiver model. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It breaks communication down into its essential parts, just like a recipe. So you've got the sender who encodes the message, meaning they choose their words, their tone, even just whether to send an email versus talking face-to-face. All those choices factor in.
Right. And then on the other side, you have the receiver who decodes that message, but they're decoding it through their own lens, right?
Exactly.
Their mood, their workload, even their personality. It all colors how they understand what you're saying.
Absolutely, and that's why this model is so powerful. It brings to light all those potential bumps in the road at each stage of communication.
And then there's that whole feedback loop, or lack thereof. It's like hitting send on an email and hoping for the best, which we've seen can really backfire.
Oh, yeah. The chapter actually suggests taking some time to think back on communication mishaps at work and sort of analyzing them through this sender message receiver lens.
That's interesting.
Was the message itself unclear? Did you choose the wrong way to communicate it, the wrong medium? Was there just not enough feedback exchanged? And that's what led to the misunderstanding.
It's like being a communication detective. You're uncovering these hidden breakdowns to avoid them in the future. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, another thing this chapter digs into is the idea that people have different communication styles. And that's where the DISC model comes in, am I right?
You are so right. DISC, which stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, is this awesome framework for really getting those different communication styles. And let me tell you, once you grasp these styles, you can tailor your communication for maximum impact.
Okay, so let's unpack these DISC styles a little bit.
Yeah.
For someone who's never even heard of this before, how would you describe each style? And maybe even more importantly, how we can adjust our communication for each one.
Great question. So let's imagine you're in a meeting and you really need to get buy-in from someone who's all about efficiency. They like things straightforward, to the point. That's a classic D, a dominant style.
Okay, so how do you approach that conversation without, scaring them off?
With a D, it's all about cutting to the chase. Respect their time, lay out the essential facts, and keep the focus on the desired outcome. No need to sugarcoat it or spend ages on small talk.
Gotcha. So bullet points over long paragraphs when emailing a D.
Exactly.
Okay, now what about someone who's all about collaboration, loves to really talk things through, make sure everyone's on board? That's more of a steadiness style, right? An S.
Spot on. For an S, creating that sense of harmony, that teamwork vibe, is crucial. Make sure they feel heard, acknowledge their contributions, and be patient, because they might not be as quick to make decisions as a D.
Makes sense. And how would that differ from, say, an influence style, an I? They're the ones bringing the energy to the room, brainstorming up a storm. How do you connect with an I effectively?
Isers are all about positive energy, positive interactions. So matching their enthusiasm is key. They really respond well to a more engaging, a more energetic communication style. Don't be afraid to brainstorm out loud with them. Acknowledge their ideas and keep things upbeat.
Love it, love it. Okay, last but not least, we've got the C, the detail-oriented, data-driven conscientiousness style. What's the key to really getting through to a C?
For a C, it's all about preparation, being prepared. Have your facts straight. Present the information logically and be ready to back up your points with data. They want to see that you've really thought things through.
This DISC model is seriously insightful. It's like you've given us the secret decoder ring for the workplace.
I like that.
But even when we understand these different styles, there are always going to be roadblocks. The chapter also talks about communication barriers, those sneaky things that can throw a wrench in even the best-laid communication plans.
Right.
What are some of the most common barriers we should watch out for?
Well, sometimes it's as simple as a noisy office environment, or maybe a bad phone connection, or even just feeling stressed or tired yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Those physical and emotional barriers, they can really impact how we communicate and how we interpret messages coming from other people.
Right, like remember Jane's story from the chapter?
Oh, yeah.
She's in this really important virtual meeting trying to get these deadlines finalized, but her internet connection is terrible. There's constant background noise.
The worst.
It's almost impossible to get everyone on the same page.
And those technical difficulties can have real consequences, missed deadlines, misunderstandings, frustration that really wasn't necessary in the first place.
Totally.
Another barrier the chapter highlights is cultural differences. What might be considered direct and assertive in one culture could be perceived as aggressive or even disrespectful in another.
It's like that phrase lost in translation, but it's not even about different languages, right? It's that we're often so focused on the words themselves that we forget how much context how much those cultural nuances can impact how they're received.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So being really mindful of those potential cultural differences is so important, especially in today's global workplace.
It really makes you realize that effective communication isn't just about mastering a set of skills, you know?
It's so true.
It's about being adaptable. It's about being sensitive to the context and being willing to shift gears depending on who you're talking to and the situation.
I could agree more. It's like being a communication chameleon.
Yeah.
You're adapting to the environment, to the people around you.
And sometimes it's even about, like, reading between the lines, paying attention to what's not being said.
You're referring to that famous Peter Drucker quote, "The most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said."
That's the one.
It's so true. And this is where nonverbal communication comes into play. Those subtle cues like body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, all of that.
It's amazing how much those nonverbal cues can reveal. Someone might say everything's fine, but their tone and their body language are telling a totally different story.
Oh, absolutely. We've all had those moments where someone's words are saying one thing, but their body language is screaming something else entirely.
Totally. It's like a secret language we're all speaking but not always aware of. So, for those of us who want to get better at understanding those nonverbal cues, what are some things we should be paying attention to?
Well, let's start with posture. Someone who's kind of slumped over might be feeling disengaged, maybe a little insecure, whereas someone sitting up straight, shoulders back, that often signals confidence.
Right, that makes sense. What about eye contact?
Eye contact is huge. It's one of the biggest tells. It can signal trust, interest, but it's also super culturally dependent, which makes it tricky sometimes. Well, in some cultures, really strong, consistent eye contact is expected. It shows you're engaged, listening. But in other cultures, it can come off as aggressive, even disrespectful.
Wow, it's like you need a cultural dictionary on top of everything else.
Right? Being aware of those subtle differences is key to making sure you're not misinterpreting things. And we can't forget about tone of voice, which is another big one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Think about how many different ways you can see the exact same sentence just by changing your tone. You can completely change the meaning. You can convey excitement, sarcasm, uncertainty, you name it.
It's true. We do so much with our voices without even realizing it.
We do.
But the more we learn about these nonverbal cues, our own and those of others, the better communicators we'll become, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, the more you pay attention to this stuff, the more intuitive it becomes. You start picking up on those subtle cues without even realizing it.
That's amazing.
It is. It's like you're developing this whole other communication superpower.
Well, this deep dive has been incredible. We've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From the importance of clear messages and understanding how communication really works, to navigating different communication styles, overcoming barriers, and even decoding those nonverbal cues. My brain is officially full.
Mine too. That's good stuff, right?
That's kind of learning.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. We're all learning and growing when it comes to communication, and that's okay. There's no finish line.
So true.
The key is to stay curious, keep practicing, and just keep striving for clearer, more effective communication in everything we do.
Perfectly said. So as you go about your week, I challenge you to channel your inner communication detective. Pay attention to those nonverbal cues in your conversations. You might be surprised by what you discover. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.
Welcome to Chapter 2, where we explore one of the most fundamental aspects of effective communication, which is building trust and rapport. Trust isn't built overnight. It's the result of consistent actions and clear communication. The first pillar of trust is consistency. When your words align with your actions, people begin to see you as reliable and dependable. Over time, your consistency shows that you can be trusted to deliver on your promises, which is critical in both personal and professional settings. Ask yourself, are your actions consistently backing up your words? Transparency is another cornerstone. By openly sharing information and being honest about challenges or delays, you show that you're committed to clear, honest interactions. This not only helps you avoid misunderstandings but also strengthens the respect others have for you. As you become more transparent, you'll notice people are more willing to share their perspectives, ideas, and concerns. This openness ultimately leads to better collaboration and more successful outcomes. The benefits of trust in the workplace are immense. When trust is present, openness naturally follows. People are more comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas, leading to a free exchange of information and increased innovation. This culture of openness fosters collaboration where teamwork thrives and people work together more harmoniously toward common goals. Moreover, trust reduces conflict. Teams that trust each other handle disagreements more constructively, addressing issues head-on rather than letting them fester. Misunderstandings are minimized, and even when conflicts arise, they're resolved with respect and understanding. The result is a more cohesive, efficient, and productive team environment where everyone feels supported and valued. Building trust involves aligning your words with your actions. When you follow through on your commitments, you demonstrate integrity and reliability, two qualities that are essential in any leader or team member. People trust those who consistently do what they say they will. Reflect on how often you meet your commitments and where you can improve. Equally important is admitting mistakes. Owning up to errors shows honesty and accountability, qualities that enhance your credibility. When you make a mistake, admitting it and taking responsibility not only helps repair trust but also sets a strong example for others. Providing constructive feedback is another way to build trust. When delivered respectfully, feedback helps others grow and demonstrates that you care about their improvement. Effective communication thrives in an environment of trust. When trust exists, people are more likely to engage in open dialogue, leading to deeper, more meaningful conversations. Without trust, communication can be superficial and ineffective, often avoiding difficult but necessary topics. In a trusting environment, feedback is not only given but also received and acted upon with greater openness. Trust also binds teams together, strengthening relationships and overall team cohesion. When teams trust each other, they work more seamlessly, understanding that they can rely on each other's strengths. This cohesion is invaluable, especially in high-pressure situations where quick, coordinated action is needed. By fostering trust, you pave the way for more effective communication and stronger teamwork. Trust takes time, but the rewards are worth it. As we've discussed, it's built gradually through consistent actions, clear communication, and transparency. Relationships built on trust are stronger, more collaborative, and more resilient. Think about how you can apply these takeaways in your professional relationships to create deeper, more trusting bonds. Remember, integrity is at the heart of trust. Your honesty and accountability will determine the level of trust others place in you. Whether it's with colleagues, managers, or clients, make a conscious effort to align your actions with your words. By doing so, you'll not only build trust but also inspire others to do the same. Let's now look at the activity. This is designed to help you reflect on your own consistency in communication and actions. Start by identifying a recent commitment you made, whether it was completing a task or attending a meeting. Reflect on whether you followed through on your promise. If not, what could you have done differently to maintain trust? Next, think about areas where you can improve consistency in your work relationships. Are there colleagues or team members with whom you need to build or repair trust? Finally, create a plan for maintaining trust in future interactions, including being clear in your communication, following through on promises, and being transparent when things don't go as planned. Let's look at a real-world scenario to highlight the importance of trust. Jason, a team leader, promises to deliver essential resources to his team by a certain date. Unfortunately, he fails to follow through and the team is left struggling to meet their deadlines without the necessary tools. This is a clear breach of trust, and it affects the entire team's morale and performance. Had Jason communicated the delay early on, explaining the situation and providing a new timeline, he could have maintained trust within his team. Being transparent and taking responsibility would have not only managed expectations but also preserved the team's confidence in his leadership. This example shows how easily trust can be lost and the importance of consistent, honest communication. It's important to remember that trust is built with consistency. This simple but profound quote from Lincoln Chafee captures the essence of trust building. It reminds us that trust isn't a one-time event but rather a continuous effort. Each time you show up for others, follow through on your promises, and act with integrity, you are laying another brick in the foundation of trust. The opposite is also true. When you are inconsistent, even small actions can slowly chip away at the trust others have in you. Consistency is the key to making people feel secure in their relationships with you, whether they are colleagues, friends, or clients. Over time, as people come to expect and rely on your consistent actions, the trust grows deeper and stronger. So as you move forward, think about how you can maintain that consistency in every interaction. Trust is fragile, but with mindful effort, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for building lasting connections. Let's wrap up with some practical tips to help you maintain and build trust in your professional relationships. First, always strive to be transparent. If something goes wrong, communicate openly rather than trying to hide it. Transparency shows your commitment to honesty, and this builds trust over time. By being upfront about issues or delays, you allow others to trust that you're working in their best interest, even when things aren't going perfectly. Following through on commitments is another critical aspect. When you make a promise, be sure to deliver on it. If circumstances change and you can't, communicate the changes immediately to manage expectations. This demonstrates responsibility and keeps trust intact. Lastly, acknowledge the efforts of others. When people feel valued for their contributions, they're more likely to trust and respect you in return. Simple recognition fosters mutual respect and strengthens team bonds, leading to a more collaborative and trusting work environment. We begin by exploring empathy as a crucial tool for better communication. Empathy goes beyond simply hearing words as it enables us to connect with the emotions, feelings, and experiences of others. When we practice empathy, we're not just understanding someone's point of view, but showing that we genuinely care about their emotions and experiences. This helps build trust, deepen relationships, and create understanding, which is essential in both personal and professional interactions. Now let's focus on how empathy helps build trust over time. Empathy is at the heart of trust because when we take the time to truly understand someone's emotions and challenges, it shows that we care. People are far more likely to trust someone who demonstrates empathy, as it reflects genuine concern and an effort to connect on a deeper level. Empathy helps bridge the gap between individuals, creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. When we show empathy, it opens the door for others to share their thoughts and feelings more freely. This openness encourages collaboration, where people feel valued and heard. Teams that practice empathy are more likely to work together effectively, handling challenges as a unified group. By showing empathy, you foster an environment where trust, openness, and teamwork can flourish. Next, we'll explore how to actively engage in empathy. Empathy is more than just listening, it's about truly understanding and responding to the emotions of others. The first step is to listen carefully. Focus on the speaker's words and emotions without interrupting or passing judgment. This demonstrates that you value their perspective and are fully engaged in the conversation. Another essential aspect is acknowledging the emotions of others. Simple phrases like "I understand that this is frustrating for you" validate their feelings and help them feel understood. Lastly, offering support, whether through actions or simply by being present. This builds rapport and strengthens trust. By actively engaging in empathy, you enhance your connection with others and create stronger relationships. Let's turn our attention to how empathy can be applied in difficult situations. When colleagues face personal challenges, showing empathy can make a significant difference. Instead of focusing solely on performance or deadlines, empathy allows you to connect with the individual and offer the emotional support they need to navigate their difficulties. Empathy is also essential in conflict resolution. By understanding the different perspectives involved in a disagreement, you can work toward a solution that benefits everyone. When empathy is present, conflicts are handled with care, ensuring that everyone feels respected and heard. This leads to solutions that address the root cause of the issue and are more likely to be lasting. Let's now explore the benefits of practicing empathy in the workplace. One of the most significant benefits is that empathy builds trust. When team members feel that their emotions and challenges are understood, they are more likely to trust one another. This trust serves as a foundation for open and effective communication, enabling teams to collaborate and problem-solve more efficiently. In addition to building trust, empathy fosters a culture of mutual respect. When individuals feel that their emotions and experiences are recognized, it creates a more supportive and harmonious work environment. As trust and respect grow, communication improves, teamwork strengthens, and the entire workplace becomes more cohesive and productive. Let's shift our focus to how you can implement empathy in your daily interactions. The first step is practicing active listening. Make it a habit to focus on the speaker's words and emotions without interrupting or planning your response. By giving someone your full attention, you show that you value their input, which naturally strengthens your connection with them. Another critical aspect of empathy is recognizing and validating emotions. Acknowledging the feelings behind someone's words and reflecting those emotions back in your responses helps them feel understood. In addition to listening and recognizing emotions, being a supportive presence is key. Sometimes, simply being there for someone is more valuable than offering immediate solutions. Now, it's time to put empathy into practice with this activity. Think back to a recent conversation where someone expressed strong emotions such as frustration, sadness, or stress. Reflect on how you responded. Did you acknowledge their emotions and show empathy, or did you focus more on offering solutions? Identify one way you can improve your empathetic response in future conversations. Whether it's listening more attentively, recognizing emotions, or offering support, there's always room to strengthen your empathy skills. In your next conversation, focus on practicing empathy by listening actively, acknowledging the other person's emotions, and offering your support. This will help you build stronger, more trusting relationships. Let's examine a real-world example that demonstrates the importance of empathy in leadership. Karen, a team leader, notices that one of her employees, John, has been disengaged and irritable. Instead of immediately addressing his behavior or assuming the worst, she pulls him aside and asks how he's feeling, showing genuine concern for his well-being. This small act of empathy opens up a meaningful conversation. John explains that he's been under a lot of personal stress lately, and Karen's empathetic response helps him feel heard and supported. As a result, John feels more valued, which leads to him re-engaging with his work and improving his performance. This example illustrates how a simple act of empathy can significantly improve morale and strengthen relationships within the workplace. Let's reflect on a powerful quote about empathy. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. This quote from Alfred Adler perfectly captures the essence of empathy. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and truly understanding their emotions. When we approach communication with this mindset, we foster deeper connections and build stronger relationships based on trust and understanding. When you see, listen, and feel through another person's eyes, ears, and heart, you create an environment where trust and understanding can grow. Empathy transforms everyday conversations into meaningful connections, helping everyone involved feel valued and respected. To conclude, here are some useful tips for practicing empathy in your daily interactions. First, make sure to listen fully. Avoid interrupting or thinking about your response while the other person is talking. Giving them your full attention demonstrates that you value their thoughts and emotions. Second, always acknowledge the other person's feelings. When someone shares their emotions, acknowledging them without minimizing or dismissing their experience helps build a stronger connection. Finally, be supportive. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply be present and ask how you can help, rather than jumping in with solutions. This approach creates a trusting, supportive environment where people feel understood and valued. Let's begin by discussing the power of transparency and honesty in the workplace. Honesty and transparency aren't just ethical values, they're essential tools for building trust within teams. When we are transparent and open, we create an environment where accountability and openness thrive. This not only strengthens relationships but also encourages team members to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns. Throughout this chapter, we'll explore how being transparent about challenges, admitting uncertainty, and sharing the reasoning behind decisions can foster a culture of trust. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of how transparency can improve team dynamics and collaboration, leading to stronger, more open communication across the board. Now, let's focus on how transparency helps build trust. Open communication is key to fostering trust within any team. By explaining the why behind your actions and decisions, you create an environment where people feel more engaged and included in the process. Sharing challenges and being transparent about difficulties ensures that surprises are minimized and people feel better prepared to handle obstacles together. Acknowledging uncertainty is another powerful way to build trust. When you're upfront about not having all the answers, it demonstrates humility and invites collaboration. This kind of honesty not only builds credibility but also encourages others to step in and contribute, creating a more cohesive and supportive team environment. Let's now dive into the impact that honesty can have within the workplace. First, it creates accountability. Being honest about challenges or mistakes shows that you take responsibility for your actions. and this in turn encourages others to do the same. Accountability strengthens trust and allows for open and constructive conversations when things go wrong. Honesty also fosters openness. When you're transparent about decisions, it creates a space where others feel comfortable sharing their perspectives. This type of openness makes teams more resilient, allowing them to face challenges together. Furthermore, honesty, especially when things go wrong, shows vulnerability, which humanizes you and ultimately builds stronger relationships. Let's now focus on how transparency can be applied in decision-making processes. It begins by clearly identifying the decision that needs to be made and communicating why it's important. This ensures that everyone understands the context and stakes involved, allowing for a more engaged and informed team. Sharing all relevant information with your team is also crucial. By being open about the potential impacts and risks, you allow team members to consider the bigger picture and offer their perspectives. Once the decision is made, it's equally important to clearly explain the reasoning behind the outcome. Transparency in decision-making not only builds trust but also ensures that everyone feels included in the process, making it easier to move forward together. Let's now turn our attention to honesty during challenging situations. Admitting mistakes is a fundamental part of maintaining trust. When you take responsibility for errors, you demonstrate accountability and show that you're committed to learning from them. This builds confidence within the team that challenges will be addressed and prevented in the future. Delivering bad news requires a combination of directness and empathy. Providing context and outlining next steps helps people process difficult information and move forward more effectively. When addressing conflicts, it's important to approach the situation openly. Encourage honest dialogue between parties to find a resolution that benefits everyone involved, helping to maintain trust even in tough times. Now, let's explore how to cultivate a culture of transparency within your team. Leading by example is the first step. When you're transparent in your own actions and decisions, you set the tone for the rest of the team to follow. Encouraging open communication is also essential to create spaces where team members can share their thoughts and concerns freely. Recognizing honesty, especially in difficult situations, helps reinforce transparency as a valued behavior. Finally, make transparency a continuous improvement effort. Regularly seek feedback on how transparent communication is working within your team and make adjustments as needed. This will ensure that transparency becomes an integral part of your team's culture. Let's take a moment to reflect and practice transparency in communication. Start by thinking of a recent situation where you could have communicated more openly or transparently. Reflect on why you may have held back. Was it to avoid conflict, protect someone's feelings, or because you were unsure of the outcome? Now identify one area in your current work where more transparency could benefit the team or a project. Consider how you can share more openly without compromising confidentiality or sensitivity. In your next communication, practice being transparent by explaining your reasoning, acknowledging challenges, and encouraging open feedback. This will help foster trust and improve communication within your team. Let's look at a real-world scenario that demonstrates the importance of transparency. Carlos, a project manager, notices that his project is falling behind schedule. Instead of addressing the delays with his team, he hopes they'll catch up without raising concerns. Unfortunately, the delays worsen, and his team feels blindsided by the lack of communication. Carlos should have been transparent from the beginning. By explaining the reasons behind the delays early on and discussing possible solutions with the team, he could have built trust and allowed everyone to work together to solve the issue before it escalated. This example shows how transparency in difficult situations is critical for building trust and ensuring smoother project execution. Let's take a moment to reflect on a quote that perfectly captures the essence of transparency. Transparency builds trust, and trust builds results. This quote from Jack Welch reminds us that transparency is the foundation of trust. When we are open and honest, we create an environment where people feel safe to share their thoughts and challenges. This trust leads to better collaboration and ultimately drives stronger results. By making transparency a core value in your team, you'll find that people are more engaged, more open to feedback, and more willing to contribute to the success of the group. Let's wrap up with some useful tips for practicing transparency in your day-to-day interactions. First, communicate early. If a challenge arises, be transparent with your team as soon as possible. Waiting too long to address issues can erode trust and make situations harder to manage. Second, always explain the rationale behind your decisions. People are more likely to support decisions when they understand the reasoning behind them, so be clear about the why. Lastly, don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. Acknowledging uncertainty builds credibility and invites collaboration, showing your team that you value their input and are open to finding solutions together. We begin this section by exploring how credibility is the bridge between expertise and trust. In the workplace, credibility is essential to gaining trust and respect. It is built by combining your knowledge, reliability, and communication skills. When others see you as credible, they are more likely to trust your opinions, seek your advice, and rely on your input for important decisions. Throughout this chapter, we'll focus on how to demonstrate expertise effectively, build trust through consistent follow-through, and use clear communication to reinforce your credibility. By the end, you'll have actionable insights on how to enhance your credibility, leading to stronger relationships and better outcomes in your professional environment. Let's now explore how expertise forms the foundation of credibility. People trust input that is backed by a solid knowledge base and relevant skills. When you share your expertise, it's important to demonstrate this knowledge through clear explanations and practical examples that others can understand and relate to. Backing up your assertions with data or relevant experience further strengthens your credibility. Whether you're presenting a solution, offering guidance, or simply sharing ideas, having the data to support your points makes your input more persuasive. Expertise is not just about what you know, but also how you convey that knowledge effectively to others. Now, let's focus on the role of follow-through in building trust. Making commitments is an important part of credibility, but it's crucial to promise only what you can realistically deliver. Overpromising and under-delivering can damage trust quickly. After making a commitment, it's vital to take action and diligently work toward fulfilling that promise. Delivering results on time and up to expectations strengthens your credibility over time. Consistent follow-through builds a reputation of reliability, which in turn enhances trust and positions you as someone others can depend on. Let's now shift our focus to how effective communication plays a key role in building credibility. First, clarity is essential. Using clear, concise language ensures that your ideas are understood and that there's no ambiguity in your messaging. Consistency is also critical. Maintaining a consistent message across all forms of communication builds trust and shows that you stand by your ideas and values. Transparency is equally important. Being open about your processes, decisions, and the reasoning behind them reinforces your credibility. When people understand the why behind your actions, they are more likely to trust your judgment and follow your lead. Reliability is a cornerstone of credibility. Being dependable means that others can consistently count on you to meet your commitments, whether it's delivering tasks on time, meeting deadlines, or simply showing up prepared. Timeliness is a key factor here. Being prompt and meeting deadlines builds trust in your ability to handle responsibilities. Delivering high-quality work on a regular basis is another critical aspect of reliability. Consistently producing top-tier results in your tasks reinforces the trust others have in you. Ultimately, reliability is about following through on your word and building a reputation that people can count on. Let's now discuss the importance of sharing your knowledge to build credibility. Being open and willing to share your insights freely is a great way to demonstrate confidence in your expertise. Offering to help others and support their success fosters collaboration and strengthens your credibility as a knowledgeable and trustworthy professional. Sharing knowledge reflects not only confidence but also a willingness to contribute to the team's collective growth. Whether you're mentoring a colleague or providing input in a meeting, sharing what you know helps to establish you as a thought leader and builds trust among your peers. Now let's reflect on how you can apply these concepts in your work. Think about a recent situation where you needed to showcase your expertise. How did you explain your knowledge? Did you use data, examples, or your experience to back up your points? Consider how well you communicated and whether you could have been clearer or more concise. Identify one thing you could improve to build more trust, whether it's enhancing your communication, sharing knowledge more effectively, or being more consistent in delivering results. In your next project or conversation, focus on demonstrating your trustworthiness by speaking clearly and following through on your commitments. Let's take a look at a real-world example of building credibility through expertise. Raj, and its specialist, is tasked with leading a new software implementation. Some team members are skeptical of his ability to manage such a complex project. Instead of letting doubt fester, Raj takes the time to explain the reasoning behind his decisions, using examples from previous successful implementations to build confidence in his expertise. By sharing his knowledge and past experiences, Raj demonstrates credibility, which helps the team trust his leadership and follow his guidance. This example illustrates how demonstrating your expertise and being transparent with your reasoning can help build trust, especially in complex or challenging situations. Now, let's reflect on a powerful quote about credibility. Credibility is a leader's currency. With it, they are solvent. Without it, they are bankrupt. This quote from John C. Maxwell highlights the fundamental importance of credibility in leadership. Credibility is something you earn over time through expertise, reliability, and effective communication. Without credibility, it becomes difficult to lead or influence others. But when you have it, people trust your judgment and are more likely to follow your lead. In every interaction, think about how you can build and maintain your credibility, whether through clear communication, following through on promises, or demonstrating your expertise. Let's close with some practical tips to help you build and maintain credibility in your professional life. First, show, don't just tell. Demonstrate your expertise through your work and communication. Using examples, data, or past experiences to back up your claims makes your input more persuasive and credible. Second, be reliable. Consistency in delivering quality work and meeting deadlines strengthens your credibility over time. Lastly, share your knowledge. Offering your insights to others builds credibility and helps establish you as a knowledgeable and trustworthy professional. By being open with your expertise, you not only build trust but also contribute to the growth and success of your team.
Ever had one of those projects, the kind where everything's humming along, you think you're in the groove, and then bam, someone backs out of a promise, throws everything off track.
The worst. It happens all the time, right? Those moments when you realize those resources you were banking on. Yeah, not going to happen.
Exactly. And it makes you realize how much we rely on trust, especially at work. And isn't that what this chapter is all about? How to build that strong rapport, that foundation of trust, all through clear, honest communication.
It is, and it dives right into the thick of it, starting with this scenario about Jason, who ends up making a promise he can't keep, putting a real strain on his team.
It's a classic example of how quickly trust can erode.
Totally. And the chapter makes a good point. It's not just about hurt feelings, it's about the practical impact. When trust breaks down, communication suffers, people get hesitant to share ideas, and suddenly, even simple tasks become way more complicated.
It's like the whole team dynamic just goes out the window.
Exactly. And one of the biggest takeaways for me was that trust, it's not a one-and-done deal. It's an ongoing thing. You got to prove yourself reliable, show up consistently, make sure your words match your actions,
Easier said than done sometimes, am I right? I've definitely learned that the hard way. There was this one time earlier in my career, bit off more than I could chew, overpromised, and let the team down. Ugh. Talk about a learning experience.
We've all been there. Sometimes those tough lessons are the ones that stick with us,
No kidding. And it looks like the chapter touches on that, too, with that scenario about Karen, who manages a team. Remember John, the employee who's acting a bit strange?
Yeah. And instead of going straight to discipline or anything, she tries to figure out what's going on beneath the surface.
Empathy, right. Trying to step into his shoes a bit.
Exactly. And the chapter really emphasizes that empathy isn't just about listening. It's about actively engaging, trying to understand the emotions behind the words, especially when things are tense.
It's about reading between the lines, getting the full picture.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. When people feel truly heard, they're more likely to let their guard down, work together, and yeah, you guessed it, trust each other.
Makes sense. It creates a safer space for everyone.
Absolutely. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right. 100%. And speaking of caring, or at least appearing to care, the chapter goes on to talk about transparency. We were just discussing Karen and how she approached John's situation.
Yeah, with empathy.
Right. But then it pivots to Carlos, this project manager, who takes the complete opposite approach, tries to sweep these major project delays under the rug.
Oh, yeah, Carlos.
Yeah.
Not his finest moment. Trying to hide those kinds of problems, that's like trying to stuff a giant octopus into a cereal box.
Good luck with that. And that's exactly the point the chapter makes. It's not that you have to overshare every tiny detail, but being upfront, especially when things get messy, it just builds trust in the long run.
Right, because even if the news isn't great, at least you're being straight with people.
Exactly. It all ties back to credibility, and the chapter makes a really interesting point. Being honest, even admitting when you're unsure about something, it actually makes people trust you more.
Because it shows you're human, not trying to pretend you have all the answers.
Exactly. You know, it reminds me of this project I was on a while back. We were heading for a disaster, timelines were shot, budget was blown. It would have been easy to sugarcoat things, but we decided to be completely transparent with the stakeholders.
What happened? They must have freaked out.
You'd think so, right? But the opposite happened. That honesty, uncomfortable as it was initially, it actually helped get everyone on the same page. We renegotiated expectations, pulled in extra resources, and in the end, we delivered. Maybe not on time or exactly as planned, but we got there.
Wow, proof that honesty really is the best policy.
Right. And, that leads perfectly into the last piece of the trust puzzle the chapter talks about, credibility. They use Raj as an example, this tech whiz, who's tasked with leading a huge software implementation, but he's facing major pushback from the team.
Yeah, Raj had his work cut out for him. No one trusted he could handle it. How did he turn that around?
Well, the chapter emphasizes that expertise alone isn't enough, right? You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't communicate effectively, and this is key, if you don't deliver on your promises, no one's going to see you as credible.
It's like you've got the recipe, but no one believes you can actually bake the cake.
Exactly. You need both, right? The knowledge, the skills, and that track record that shows you can actually pull it off.
That you're the real deal.
Right. And what the chapter really drives home, and I think this is so important, it's that this whole credibility thing, it's not just about being a manager or a team lead. It applies to everyone, no matter where you are in the organization.
Yeah, whether you're presenting an idea, collaborating on a project, even just speaking up in a meeting, that credibility, it gives your words weight. People are more likely to listen, take you seriously.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this whole credibility thing, I think the key takeaways are, first, be clear about what you know. Second, walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. And finally, be generous with your knowledge. Share what you know.
Don't hoard it all for yourself.
Exactly. The more you share, the more credible you become.
So much good stuff packed into this chapter. We covered a ton, from trust is the bedrock of any team to that empathy thing, and how transparency, even when it's tough, ultimately builds stronger connections. And of course, how to make sure your expertise shines through, which all comes down to building that credibility.
Ill convected, isn't it?
Totally. Because at the end of the day, it's all about fostering that environment where everyone feels respected, heard, and empowered to contribute.
Couldn't agree more.
So, as we wrap things up, maybe something for everyone to ponder. How can you put this into practice?
Yeah.
How can you show up with more empathy, be more transparent in your dealings, even work on building your own credibility, starting today?
Love that. Food for thought, for sure.
And for anyone who wants to really dive into these ideas, the full chapter is definitely worth the read. Lots more to unpack there.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Until next time, remember, strong communication, it's the foundation for everything. Keep those conversations going, keep building those connections, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Chapter 3, where we'll explore the psychology behind persuasion. Persuasion is deeply rooted in understanding how people think and what motivates them. In this chapter, we'll dive into the foundational principles of persuasion and how tailoring your message to resonate with your audience can increase your impact. You'll also learn how emotions play a critical role in persuasion, and we'll cover ways to influence others without undermining trust. Let's now look at the foundational principles that make persuasion effective. First, reciprocity. People tend to return favors, so giving value first, whether in the form of help, resources, or support. This can generate future support for your ideas. Second, consistency. Align your proposals with your audience's existing beliefs to make them more acceptable. Third, social proof is a powerful motivator. When people see that others have successfully adopted a practice or idea, they are more likely to follow suit. Finally, authority. Demonstrating your expertise builds trust and increases the likelihood that your recommendations will be taken seriously. These principles work together to create a persuasive foundation in your communication efforts. Now, let's focus on how tailoring your message can make persuasion more effective. Understanding your audience is the first step. You need to know their motivations, concerns, and what they value. This will allow you to craft your message in a way that resonates with them personally. personalization is key. A message that feels relevant and tailored to the audience's specific needs will always be more compelling. Whether you're speaking to a team member, a client, or a larger audience, the more personalized your message, the more likely you are to make a meaningful impact. Credibility is a major component of effective persuasion. Let's now focus on how you can build credibility through your communication. First, always use reliable data to support your claims. People are more likely to trust you if they see that your arguments are backed by solid evidence. Next, provide real-world examples to illustrate your points. Sharing examples from past experiences or success stories helps others connect with your message on a practical level. Lastly, ensure your reasoning is clear and logical. When your argument is easy to follow, it's more likely to be persuasive, and your credibility as an expert in the subject matter is strengthened. Let's shift our attention to the role emotions play in persuasion. Excitement is a powerful emotion. By generating enthusiasm for your ideas, you make them more appealing. On the other hand, FOMO, or fear of missing out, can be used to highlight potential missed opportunities, encouraging your audience to take action quickly. Another effective emotional appeal is the desire for improvement. Whether it's personal or professional growth, tapping into the audience's desire to be better or achieve more is a persuasive motivator. By leveraging emotions in a thoughtful and ethical way, you can create a deeper connection with your audience and inspire them to act. Persuasion must always be used ethically. Let's explore how you can ensure your persuasive efforts maintain trust. First, integrity is key. Use persuasion techniques ethically, aiming for outcomes that are mutually beneficial. Misusing persuasion techniques can damage relationships and trust. Transparency is equally important. Be open about your intentions and methods so your audience knows exactly where you stand. Always aim for a win-win situation where all parties benefit from the outcome. This approach not only strengthens trust but also builds long-lasting, respectful relationships in the workplace. Let's take some time to reflect on how you can apply persuasion techniques at work. Think about a recent situation where you needed to persuade someone, whether it was for a project or to influence a decision. Reflect on whether you considered the audience's motivations and addressed their concerns. Did you highlight the benefits for them? Next, identify which psychological principles such as reciprocity, consistency, social proof, or authority that you could have used to strengthen your argument. In your next persuasive conversation, try applying one of these principles and adjust your approach to focus on your audience's needs and values. Let's look at a real-world scenario to see persuasion in action. Lisa, a project manager, is trying to convince her leadership team to invest in new project management software. She knows they are hesitant to spend money on new tools, so she strategically uses social proof by presenting case studies of other companies that have successfully implemented the software. Additionally, Lisa emphasizes how this aligns with the company's commitment to efficiency, tapping into the principle of consistency. To further strengthen her case, she offers to personally train the team, leveraging her authority in project management. This combination of persuasion techniques helps Lisa gain support for the software. Let's pause for a moment to reflect on a key insight about persuasion. Persuasion is often more effective than force. This quote from Aesop highlights the subtle but powerful nature of persuasion. Rather than trying to force someone to take action, guiding them toward a decision through carefully crafted arguments and understanding their motivations is often more successful. Persuasion creates a sense of partnership rather than opposition, fostering cooperation and willingness to engage. Finally, let's revisit the foundational principles of persuasion to reinforce what we've learned. Start by listening. Before you try to persuade someone, take the time to listen carefully to their needs, concerns, and motivations. This allows you to align your message with what matters most to them. Next, present evidence. Supporting your arguments with data, case studies, or expert endorsements enhances your credibility and makes your message more compelling. Lastly, appeal to values. Find ways to connect your message to the values and priorities of your audience. If your proposal aligns with their core beliefs, they are far more likely to be persuaded. Let's begin by discussing the importance of structuring your message effectively for maximum impact. A well-organized message is crucial in any persuasive communication. Whether you're writing an email or presenting an idea in a meeting, Structuring your points clearly and logically guides your audience through your reasoning, making it easier for them to understand and agree with you. In this chapter, we'll explore how to craft persuasive messages using a clear structure. From grabbing your audience's attention to offering a compelling solution and ending with a strong call to action, you'll learn the key components that will make your communication more effective and persuasive. Now let's focus on the 4 essential steps to structuring a persuasive message. First, you want to open with something that grabs your audience's attention. This could be a powerful fact, a thought-provoking question, or even a story. This hook draws people in and sets the stage for your message. Next, present the problem or opportunity. Clearly articulate the issue that needs to be addressed or the opportunity you're highlighting. Then, offer your solution as the best possible answer, backed by evidence or examples. Finally, close with a clear and actionable request, giving your audience a specific next step to take. This structure ensures your message flows logically and motivates your audience to act. Let's now break down the key points for effective communication. Start by hooking your audience. A strong opening is essential to grab attention and make people interested in what you have to say. Once you have their attention, present a problem that resonates with your audience. If they can relate to the issue, they'll be more engaged in finding a solution. Next, offer your solution with supporting evidence, such as data or real-life examples. This makes your message more credible and persuasive. Lastly, end with a clear call to action. This step should leave no doubt about what you want your audience to do next, whether it's adopting a new strategy or supporting your idea. Now let's focus on some expert insights to refine your persuasive message. Keeping it simple is key. Don't overload your audience with too much information. Focus on the points that will most effectively persuade them. It's also important to anticipate objections. Address potential concerns within your message so that your audience feels you've thought through the challenges. Incorporating storytelling can make your message even more powerful. Relatable stories help people connect with your message on an emotional level, making it more memorable and impactful. By applying these expert tips, you can make your persuasive communication more engaging and effective. Let's now explore the power of storytelling in persuasion. Stories naturally engage people's attention, drawing them in and making your message more compelling. They also make your points easier to remember, as narratives are often more memorable than abstract data or facts alone. Moreover, storytelling can be a powerful tool for persuasion. When people hear a relatable story that connects to their experiences or emotions, they are more likely to be influenced by your message. By weaving stories into your communication, you create a more engaging and persuasive presentation that resonates with your audience long after the conversation ends. Let's now bring all these elements together for a structured, impactful message. Organizing your message with clarity and purpose ensures your points are easy to follow. Include essential elements like a strong hook to capture attention and a clear call to action to guide your audience on what steps to take next. Remember to apply expert tips like simplification and storytelling. Keeping your message focused and engaging will help you maintain the interest of your audience and improve your chances of persuasion. As with any skill, practice is key. The more you refine your approach, the more effective your communication will become. Let's take a moment to practice structuring a persuasive message. Think of an upcoming situation where you need to persuade someone, whether it's presenting a new idea to your boss or convincing a colleague to support your project. Start by planning your hook. What can you say to grab their attention right from the start? Next, clearly outline the problem or opportunity and then present your solution with supporting evidence. Be sure to end with a strong call to action, specifying exactly what you want your audience to do. Structuring your message this way will help you communicate more persuasively and achieve better results. Let's look at a real-world example to see this message structure in action. Ahmed, a marketing strategist, is pitching a new marketing approach to his team. Knowing they are hesitant to change their current strategy, he starts with a hook, a compelling statistic about how much competitors have grown using a similar strategy. He then explains how their current approach is holding them back and presents his new strategy, supported by data, as the solution. Ahmed finishes with a call to action, asking the team to try a small pilot project to test the strategy. This structured approach allows him to effectively communicate his idea and gain buy-in from the team. Let's take a moment to reflect on this insightful quote. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. This quote from Albert Einstein reminds us of the importance of clarity and simplicity in communication. If your message is complex or difficult to understand, your audience is unlikely to follow or be persuaded. The clearer and more straightforward your message, the easier it will be for others to grasp and act upon it. Simplicity is often the key to effective persuasion. To wrap things up, let's go over some useful tips for structuring your persuasive message. First, start strong. Open with a fact, question, or story that grabs attention and sets the stage for your message. Then, be solution-oriented. Clearly define the problem and offer a solution that is relevant and beneficial to your audience. Finally, end with action. Make your request clear and actionable, leaving no doubt about what the next step should be. By following these tips, you'll create a well-structured and persuasive message that resonates with your audience and drives them to take action. Let's begin this section by exploring the role of emotional appeal in persuasion. While logic and facts are important, connecting on an emotional level can make your message significantly more compelling. People often make decisions based on how they feel, and successful persuasion requires tapping into those emotions to drive action. In this chapter, we'll dive into the ways emotions influence decision-making and how you can align your message with your audience's emotional needs and values. By understanding the emotional side of persuasion, you can make your communication more engaging and impactful. Now let's focus on how aligning your message with the values of your audience can increase its persuasiveness. People are far more likely to be persuaded when your message reflects what they care about most. Authenticity is key here. Emotional appeals only work if they come across as genuine. Speaking from the heart and showing sincerity in your message will help you connect with your audience on a deeper level. Personalization is also important. Tailor your emotional appeal to the specific concerns and values of your audience. By making your message relevant to their individual needs, you can create a more persuasive and meaningful connection. Let's now explore how you can use emotions to inspire action. Positive emotions such as hope or optimism can motivate your audience to feel excited about the future. Framing your message to evoke these feelings makes it more persuasive. Additionally, creating a sense of urgency can inspire your audience to act quickly. Emotions are often the key motivators behind decision-making, so understanding how to trigger the right feelings, whether excitement, curiosity, or even a sense of responsibility, can lead to more effective persuasion. Use emotions strategically to move people toward action. Let's shift our focus to addressing the concerns of your audience. Acknowledging negative emotions like fear or frustration is just as important as invoking positive emotions. When people feel that their concerns are understood, it helps to build trust and makes them more receptive to your message. It's important to address these fears in a genuine, non-manipulative way. Show that you empathize with their concerns and offer solutions that directly address them. This approach helps to create a stronger connection with your audience and demonstrates that you care about their well-being, not just pushing your agenda. Next, let's focus on the balance between logic and emotion in persuasion. While emotions are powerful drivers of action, they need to be supported by rational arguments. Including facts, data, and logical reasoning alongside emotional appeals creates a more persuasive and well-rounded message. Recognize that decision-making is influenced by both rational and emotional factors. A compelling message incorporates both elements, facts to inform and emotions to inspire. By combining these, you can create a stronger case that resonates with both the heart and the mind. Now, let's explore how to apply emotional appeal in different scenarios. When motivating your team, use emotional appeal to inspire and energize them, helping them see the positive outcomes of their efforts. When selling an idea, connecting emotionally with your audience can make your proposal more compelling and memorable. In negotiations with clients, building rapport through emotional connection helps create a sense of trust and understanding, which can lead to more successful outcomes. By strategically applying emotional appeal, you'll be able to influence a wide range of audiences more effectively. Let's now take a moment to practice incorporating emotional appeal into your communication. Start by identifying a situation where you need to persuade someone, whether it's your boss, a colleague, or a client. Think about the emotions that may be driving their decision-making. Are they excited about an opportunity or worried about potential risks? Next, adjust your message to tap into these emotions. Highlight the positive outcomes that will make them feel excited or address their concerns with empathy. Finally, practice delivering your message with sincerity and emotion, showing that you care as much about the outcome as they do. Let's look at a real-world example of using emotional appeal. Rachel, a team lead, wants her team to adopt new software that will streamline their workflow. Some team members are resistant to change and worried about learning a new system. Rachel acknowledges their concerns by empathizing with the frustration of learning new technology, addressing the negative emotions up front. She then shifts the focus to the positive aspects, such as how the new tool will make their jobs easier, reduce stress, and allow them to focus on more meaningful work. This combination of addressing fears and highlighting positive outcomes inspires the team to give the new software a try. Let's reflect on a powerful quote that captures the essence of emotional appeal and persuasion. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. This quote from Maya Angelou reminds us that emotions leave a lasting impression. While the facts and figures you present may fade from memory, the emotional impact of your message can linger. This is why tapping into emotions is such a critical component of persuasive communication. It creates a connection that people remember long after the conversation ends. To wrap up, here are some useful tips for incorporating emotional appeal into your persuasion efforts. First, show empathy. Acknowledging your audience's concerns and emotions builds trust and makes them more receptive to your message. Next, inspire with positivity. Focus on the positive impact of your idea, whether it's increased efficiency, more rewarding work, or better outcomes for the team or company. Finally, be genuine. Emotional appeals only work when they're authentic. Speak from the heart and show that you believe in what you're saying. When your audience feels your sincerity, they're much more likely to be persuaded. Let's begin this section by discussing the importance of influencing without authority. In the workplace, it's not always about formal power. Often you need to persuade and motivate people without having direct control over their decisions. This requires strong communication, emotional intelligence, and relationship-building skills. Now, let's focus on the foundational strategy for influencing without authority building relationships. Trust is the bedrock of influence, so it's important to invest time in building trust with colleagues. Be reliable and consistent in your interactions to show that you are dependable. Building rapport is equally essential. Find common ground and show genuine interest in others' perspectives and concerns. Lastly, don't forget to expand your professional network. Cultivating relationships across different departments and levels increases your influence and opens up opportunities for collaboration. Let's now turn our attention to understanding the motivations of the people you want to influence. The first step is to identify their goals. Do your research and understand what's important to them. What are they trying to achieve? Once you've identified their objectives, align your proposal with their interests. It's also crucial to anticipate any concerns they may have. Address these objections proactively in your approach. By showing that you've thought about their motivations and concerns, you'll position yourself as someone who truly understands their perspective, making your influence more effective. A great way to influence others without authority is by positioning yourself as a valuable resource. Start by offering unique insights or valuable information. Sharing knowledge helps you become seen as an expert, which boosts your credibility. Offering help on projects or tasks also demonstrates your willingness to contribute and makes you more influential. Showcasing your expertise in relevant areas reinforces the value you bring. By consistently providing useful insights and being helpful, you become someone people naturally turn to for guidance, even without formal authority. Let's now explore the power of a collaborative approach. Inviting input from others fosters an environment of teamwork and shared ownership. Encourage colleagues to share their thoughts and ideas on the topic at hand, making them feel included in the process. Active listening is key here. Pay close attention to the feedback you receive and incorporate it into your proposals. By working together and co-creating solutions, you can develop ideas that benefit everyone involved, which increases the likelihood of gaining buy-in for your suggestions. Next, let's focus on how to leverage social influence to enhance your persuasiveness. Sharing success stories is a great way to demonstrate how your idea has worked elsewhere. Case studies or examples from similar situations can strengthen your proposal by showing proven results. Gathering endorsements from respected colleagues is another powerful tool. Their backing lends credibility to your ideas, making it easier to persuade others. Finally, consensus building helps demonstrate that there is widespread support for your proposal, showing how it aligns with the broader organizational goals. Let's now take a moment to practice influencing without authority. Start by identifying a situation where you need to persuade someone who isn't in your direct line of authority. This could be a colleague, client, or senior leader. Reflect on their motivations and goals. What matters most to them, and how can your idea help them achieve those goals? Plan how to present your message as a collaborative solution rather than a directive. Show that you're open to feedback and invested in helping them succeed. In your next conversation, focus on building rapport and framing your message in a way that aligns with their interests. Let's look at a real-world scenario of influencing without authority. Maria, a junior analyst, has an idea to improve the team's reporting process, but she doesn't have formal authority over the decision-makers. Knowing that her manager is focused on reducing costs and improving efficiency, Maria frames her proposal to highlight how her idea will save time and reduce errors, aligning it with her manager's goals. She also offers to run a small pilot program to demonstrate the benefits, showing that she is committed to the success of the team. This approach positions Maria as a helpful resource, making it easier for her to influence her manager's decision without needing formal authority. Let's take a moment to reflect on a powerful quote about leadership and influence. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. This quote from Simon Sinek reminds us that influence is not about formal power or control, it's about how well you support and guide those around you. The ability to lead and influence comes from building trust, helping others succeed, and focusing on shared goals. When you approach influence with a mindset of service, you're much more likely to inspire others to follow your lead. To wrap up, here are some useful tips for influencing without authority. First, build relationships before you try to persuade. Influence is built on trust and rapport, so take the time to establish these connections early. Next, align your goals with those of the person you're trying to influence. Framing your message in a way that helps them achieve their objectives makes it more compelling. Finally, always offer value. Demonstrate how your expertise or ideas bring benefits to the other person. When people see that you're offering something of value, they are much more likely to follow your lead. By following these tips, you'll become a more effective influencer, even without formal authority.
Ever have one of those ideas at work? You know, the kind that could really shake things up, but then you're like, how am I going to get everyone else on board with this?
Yeah,
It's like a universal struggle, isn't it?
it is.
So that's what we're digging into today, how to make those brilliant ideas stick. We're diving deep into Chapter 3 of The Art of Persuasion, how to influence and inspire in the workplace, looking for practical tips, the kind of stuff we can actually use.
Sounds good.
Because who hasn't wanted to be that person in the office, the one who can actually make things happen?
Right, and what's fascinating about persuasion is that it all comes down to psychology, really. It's less about, being slick or tricky and more about really getting what makes people tick.
Yeah, it's that
Well,
human element, right?
Exactly, it's
Yeah,
that click
yeah.
of connection.
It's not just about like, here are the facts, here are the figures, agree with me.
Right, you've got to connect on a deeper level. And Chapter 3 breaks this down into these 4 core principles of psychology that actually underpin persuasion.
Hmm.
Reciprocity, consistency, social proof, and authority.
Ooh, secret weapons. I like it. Okay, let's break them down. Reciprocity. That one makes me think of that whole you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing.
Sure.
But I'm guessing there's a little more to it than that, right?
Yeah, it's more nuanced than a simple trait. Think about it. People are way more likely to get behind you if they feel like you've already given them something valuable.
Okay.
So before you even think about asking for that favor, focus on genuinely being helpful. Offer to pitch in on projects. Share what you know. Be that person who steps up when someone's drowning in work.
I like that.
It's those little things. They build up so much goodwill, and then when you need something, people are much more open.
It's like you're planting seeds of like goodwill, and then boom, when you need them, they sprout up.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes sense. What about this consistency principle? What's the psychology there?
Well, humans, we like to think we're all logical, but the truth is we crave consistency. We want our actions and beliefs to line up,
We do.
So if you can show how your idea actually supports their values or maybe even builds on decisions they've made before, you're way more likely to get them to say yes.
So you're basically saying, hey, this new thing, it totally vibes with what you already believe.
Exactly.
That's pretty smart. All right, social proof. This one feels like it's been hijacked by, like, every marketing campaign ever.
Right.
But I'm sure it goes deeper than just, like, what's trending online.
Oh, for sure. It's hardwired into us, right? We're social creatures. We look to others to figure out what to do, what to believe. If everyone's doing it, it must be okay.
It's like that whole safety in numbers thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's less risky. And in the workplace, you can use this to your advantage by, like, pointing to examples of your idea working somewhere else.
Oh, interesting.
Like, hey, remember Company X? They saw a 15% jump in productivity when they tried this. Boom. Instant credibility.
It's like that proof, right?
Boom.
Takes away the fear of the unknown. Okay, last one, authority. I feel like I know where this is going.
Yeah.
People listen to experts, right?
Mhm. Right.
Like, if someone's got the credentials, we're more likely to trust them.
You got it. It's not about being bossy or anything.
Sure.
It's about subtly showing you know your stuff.
Yeah.
Data, research, anecdotes, those are your best friends here.
So if I'm, like, pitching a new strategy, I shouldn't just be like, trust me, my gut says so.
Right.
I need to come armed with the data in the case studies.
Exactly.
Let the evidence speak for itself.
You got it.
Okay, my mind is already buzzing with ideas. But knowing the psychology is only half the battle, right? How do we actually structure a message that truly resonates?
That is a fantastic question, and that leads us to the next crucial element, because just like a good recipe or a well-designed building, a persuasive message needs a strong structure.
All right, so what's the blueprint for a message that really grabs someone and makes them want to lean in?
So this chapter, it lays out this super simple but powerful framework. The hook, the problem or opportunity, the solution, that's where you come in, and then the call to action.
Okay, I'm hooked already.
Let me
It's
get
like writing a good story.
You need that initial hook to pull people in.
Exactly. You've got to grab their attention right off the bat.
Right.
Start with a question that makes them think.
Yeah.
A shocking stat, or even a short story, something that piques their interest and makes them want to hear more.
Okay, so I've got their attention, now what?
Now, you lay it out, you explain the problem or the opportunity. This is where you connect the dots for them, show them why they should care.
Got it.
Paint a picture, what's going wrong, or what could be amazing if they just, listen to you.
Okay. And this is where I come in, right? With the solution. Not to toot my own horn or anything. That's right. Now's your chance to present your idea, that it's the answer, the key to everything.
Okay.
But don't just tell them. Show them. Back it up with data, examples, maybe even a testimonial or two. You need that strong evidence.
So it's like anticipate their questions,
Mhm.
right? Be ready with answers before they even ask.
Exactly. You've got to be one step ahead. You're presenting a case, really.
And then, boom, hit them with that call to action.
Right. Don't leave them hanging.
What do they need to do, like, right now?
Exactly. Be crystal clear. Schedule a meeting. Read this proposal. Implement this strategy today. Whatever it is, make it easy for them to say yes.
I love it. It's like that final nudge to get them moving. Okay, this framework, it's super practical, but this chapter isn't all logic and reason, is it? There's this whole other layer, emotion, which honestly can feel a little murky in a work setting.
Sure. We tend to think of work as all about logic and rationality, but the truth is we're emotional beings. And it impacts our decisions way more than we realize.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't about being manipulative. It's about genuine connection, tapping into those values, those aspirations that really drive us.
So how do we bring in that emotion without being, like, overly dramatic?
It all starts with understanding your audience. What are their fears? What gets them excited? What impact are they hoping to make? Once you get that, you can tailor your message to resonate on a deeper level.
So if I know my manager is really passionate about innovation, I could frame my idea as a way to, like, empower people to be more creative. Right?
Exactly. Don't be afraid to acknowledge those negative emotions either.
Oh, interesting.
Like, if there's fear of change or resistance to something new, address it head on.
So you're saying name the elephant in the room.
Yes. It builds trust when you do that. Shows you're not ignoring those concerns.
That's actually really smart. Okay, so much of this comes back to being genuine, relatable.
Right.
Like, I get where you're coming from.
People can spot a fake from a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
Authenticity is key.
This is pure gold. I feel like I could talk about this stuff for hours.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I did want to address something that I'm sure our listeners are thinking. We've been focusing on, persuading upwards, like convincing your boss or manager.
Sure.
But what about when you're not the one calling the shots? How do you become persuasive when you don't have that authority?
You're right. So much of the traditional advice on persuasion focuses on that top-down dynamic. But the great thing is, these principles, they apply no matter where you are in the hierarchy.
Right.
It's about relationships and showing your worth, period.
So influencing without authority, that really resonates. It's about navigating those waters where you might not have the hierarchical advantage.
Exactly. When you're trying to influence someone who doesn't report to you, building trust and establishing yourself as an invaluable resource is paramount. Make a genuine effort to connect with your colleagues, understand their goals, their challenges, and actively look for ways to support them in their work.
So it's about building that foundation of goodwill, not just swooping in when you need a favor.
You've got it. Consistently demonstrate your expertise and willingness to help others. This builds a reservoir of trust and respect that you can tap into when it's time to advocate for your ideas. Think of it as making deposits into a persuasion bank.
I like that analogy. So when the time comes to present an idea to someone who isn't your direct report, how do you frame it in a way that resonates? It's got to be different than, say, pitching to your boss.
Absolutely. When you're seeking buy-in from peers or colleagues in different departments, framing is everything. Highlight the win-win scenario, emphasize how your idea not only benefits you, but also them, their team, and the company as a whole. Find those points of intersection where your goals align.
So instead of saying, hey, I have this great idea, it's more about saying, I was thinking about your team's current project and had an idea that might streamline the process and free up some time for everyone. Am I on the right track?
Precisely. By aligning your idea with their needs and priorities, you make it much more compelling, even irresistible.
This has been incredibly insightful. It's like we've unlocked the secret code of workplace influence. But I can't help but wonder, with all this talk about strategy and psychology, is there a risk of it feeling inauthentic? How do you walk that tightrope between being strategic and being genuine?
That's a question I often get asked, and it's an important one. The key is to always ground your persuasive efforts in authenticity. These techniques should amplify your sincerity, not mask it.
So it's not about becoming some sort of persuasion robot. It's about using these tools to better communicate your genuine passion and vision.
Exactly. People can spot a fake a mile away. If you genuinely believe in your ideas and approach your interactions with integrity and respect, that will shine through far more than any technique.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about using these techniques to elevate your natural communication style, not replace it. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. Emotion. We often think of persuasion as this logical, data-driven process, but you highlighted the importance of tapping into emotions, which can feel tricky, especially at work. Can you elaborate on that a bit more? How can our listeners strike that balance?
You're right, it's a delicate balance. We don't want to come across as overly emotional or manipulative, but we also can't ignore the fact that emotions play a significant role in decision-making, even in a professional setting. The key is to connect with your audience on a deeper level by understanding and acknowledging their feelings.
So it's about empathy, right? Putting yourself in their shoes and understanding their perspective.
Exactly. For instance, if you're proposing a significant change, acknowledge that change can be unsettling. Validate those feelings instead of minimizing them. By demonstrating empathy and addressing concerns head-on, you foster trust and create a more receptive audience.
That's a great point. So instead of just launching into the logistics of a new initiative, we should acknowledge that it might feel disruptive or uncertain for some people and address those emotions with sensitivity.
Precisely. It's about acknowledging the human element in every interaction. Now, while we've covered a lot of ground here, there's one more crucial element to mastering the art of persuasion that I think deserves its own spotlight, and that's the power of storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling. I love a good story.
Yeah.
What's its role in all of this?
Stories are more than just entertainment. They're powerful tools for persuasion. Think about it. We're hardwired to respond to stories. They capture our attention, make information memorable, and most importantly, forge emotional connections.
So how do we weave storytelling into our everyday communication at work? It's not like we're all professional novelists.
You don't have to be. It's about finding those relatable anecdotes, those real-life examples that bring your ideas to life. For instance, let's say you're trying to convince your team to adopt a new project management software.
Okay, I'm picturing this. I'm intrigued.
Instead of just listing its features and benefits, share a story about a time when a similar tool saved you or a colleague from a project disaster, or a story about how it helped another team achieve incredible results.
That makes so much sense. Suddenly, this abstract software becomes tangible and relatable. It has a face, a narrative, a purpose.
You've got it. Stories create a shared experience, make information stick, and most importantly, tap into the power of emotion, which, as we've discussed, is crucial for persuasion.
This has been eye-opening. I feel like we've gone from Persuasion 101 to an advanced seminar in the art of influence.
And we're not done yet. Remember, persuasion is an ongoing process of learning and refining your approach.
I'm ready for more. But before we dive into the next chapter of the art of persuasion, let's pause here and give our listeners some food for thought. We've talked about the importance of building genuine connections as a foundation for influence. So here's a challenge. What's one small action you can take this week to connect with someone at work you'd like to be more persuasive with? It could be as simple as grabbing coffee, offering to help with a project, or even just sending a thoughtful email. Small gestures can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. Building those connections is an investment worth making.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the art of persuasion. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the psychology of influence to the power of storytelling. But remember, the real magic happens when you put these ideas into practice. So go out there, connect with your colleagues, share your ideas with passion and authenticity, and watch as you become a persuasive force in your workplace. Until next time, happy persuading.
Welcome to Chapter 4, where we'll look into how body language impacts workplace communication. Body language is often called the silent language because it communicates volumes without a single word being spoken. It includes facial expressions, gestures, posture, eye contact, and even the way you position your body in relation to others. These nonverbal cues can either reinforce or contradict your verbal message, and that's why they're so powerful. In professional settings, where impressions are formed quickly, body language can be the deciding factor in whether people perceive you as confident, trustworthy, and competent. Imagine walking into a meeting slouched over, avoiding eye contact, and crossing your arms. Even if you have great ideas to share, your audience may interpret your body language as disinterest or lack of confidence. In contrast, standing tall, maintaining eye contact, and using open gestures immediately conveys engagement, confidence, and a readiness to contribute. Mastering body language ensures that you're not just saying the right things, but that your entire presence supports your message, leading to clearer communication and stronger relationships. Let's take a deeper look at posture and why it plays such a vital role in projecting confidence. Your posture is one of the first things people notice about you, and it sends subconscious signals about your emotional state and level of engagement. When you stand or sit with a straight spine and shoulders back, you're signaling that you're present, confident, and in control. In professional settings where perception is key, this can give you an instant credibility boost. Good posture does more than just affect how others see you, it also impacts how you feel about yourself. Research has shown that maintaining a power posture such as standing tall with an open stance can increase levels of testosterone and decrease cortisol, a stress hormone. This hormonal shift not only makes you feel more confident, but also helps you manage stress more effectively in high-pressure situations like presentations, negotiations, or meetings. Poor posture, such as slouching, not only diminishes how others perceive your authority, but can also negatively affect your own mental state, making you feel less confident and capable. Therefore, cultivating strong posture habits is crucial for maintaining both your internal confidence and external presence. Now, let's go further into why gestures are essential in communication and how they reinforce your message. Gestures are more than just hand movements. They are an extension of your thoughts and can make your ideas more accessible to your audience. When used effectively, gestures help to punctuate key points, making them stand out and leaving a lasting impression. For example, a well-timed hand movement can signal importance or highlight a critical part of your presentation. Gestures also help to bridge the gap between abstract ideas and concrete understanding. People often struggle with purely verbal explanations of complex concepts, but a relevant gesture can make the message much clearer. For example, when explaining growth, you might use an upward hand motion to symbolize progression. This visual cue helps your audience follow your message and reinforces the idea, making it easier to remember. But as we've discussed, balance is key. If you over-gesture or move your hands constantly, it can be distracting and take the focus away from your words. The goal is to use gestures strategically to complement your verbal communication, not overshadow it. When done right, gestures can significantly enhance the clarity and impact of your message. Let's now explore in greater depth how open body language fosters trust and approachability in the workplace. One of the most important aspects of nonverbal communication is that it reflects your emotional openness and willingness to engage. Crossing your arms, for instance, is often seen as a defensive or closed-off gesture, which can create emotional distance between you and your audience. Even if you're saying all the right things verbally, a closed posture can make others feel like you're not fully committed or open to their input. Open body language, such as uncrossed arms, a relaxed stance, and facing your audience, signals that you're approachable, transparent, and ready to listen. This is especially crucial in team settings or when leading a group, as it helps to create a space where others feel comfortable sharing their ideas, concerns, or feedback. When your body language communicates openness, it builds a sense of psychological safety, where team members feel free to contribute without fear of judgment or rejection. This fosters trust, which is the foundation of strong, effective communication. Additionally, maintaining an open posture shows that you're present in the conversation, which helps to deepen engagement and collaboration. Let's examine more closely why controlling nervous habits is so essential, especially during high-stakes interactions. Nervous habits, such as fidgeting, tapping your foot, or playing with your hair, are typically unconscious behaviors that arise from stress or anxiety. While these actions may seem minor to you, they can be very noticeable to your audience and can detract from your message. These habits often signal discomfort, lack of confidence, or distraction, which can weaken the credibility of your communication. The ability to manage these habits is crucial in situations like job interviews, presentations, or negotiations, where how you present yourself is just as important as what you say. Uncontrolled nervous habits can make your audience focus on your discomfort rather than the substance of your message. Moreover, they can convey uncertainty, causing others to question whether you're confident in what you're saying. Learning to recognize and manage these habits through mindfulness and practice can significantly improve how you're perceived. One effective technique is to focus on controlled breathing, which helps reduce anxiety and prevents nervous energy from manifesting in distracting habits. By controlling your nervous habits, you ensure that your body language aligns with your verbal message, projecting confidence and professionalism. Let's delve deeper into the techniques of mirroring and spatial awareness and how they contribute to more effective communication. Mirroring is a subtle yet powerful way to build rapport with others. By adopting similar body language, such as matching someone's posture, gestures, or pace of speech, you create a sense of connection and empathy. This technique taps into the psychological concept of like attracts like. People are more likely to trust and feel comfortable with others who seem similar to them. In workplace interactions, this can be particularly useful in fostering collaboration, diffusing conflicts, or building a sense of unity within a team. Spatial awareness, or understanding how physical distance affects communication, is equally important. The amount of space you maintain during a conversation can significantly influence how your message is received. Standing too close can invade someone's personal space, making them feel uncomfortable or even defensive. On the other hand, standing too far away can signal disinterest or detachment. Knowing how to read the room and adjust your positioning can help ensure that your presence is comfortable and non-threatening. In international settings, this becomes even more critical, as different cultures have varying expectations regarding personal space. By being mindful of spatial awareness, you ensure that your body language creates a positive, respectful, and effective communication dynamic. Let's take this opportunity to reflect and analyze your own body language in past interactions. Think about a recent situation where you felt that your body language may have influenced how your message was received. Were there moments when your posture, gestures, or movements aligned with what you were saying, or were there instances where your body language may have contradicted your words? For example, if you were in a meeting where you felt anxious, did you notice any signs of nervousness, such as fidgeting or avoiding eye contact? Reflecting on these behaviors is important because it helps you identify patterns and areas for improvement. As you prepare for future interactions, think about how you can adjust your body language to better support your verbal message. Practicing in front of a mirror or recording yourself can help you become more aware of how you present yourself. By focusing on maintaining open, confident, and purposeful body language, you'll create a stronger alignment between what you say and how you say it, resulting in clearer and more impactful communication. Let's take a real-world example to illustrate the power of body language in action. David, a team leader, is giving a presentation on a new project that he's excited about. However, his body language, crossed arms, frequent fidgeting, and minimal eye contact. This undermines his verbal message. Although his words express enthusiasm, his nonverbal cues tell a different story, making him appear disengaged or uncertain. His audience, picking up on these mixed signals, may feel less confident about the project and David's leadership. If David wants to ensure that his body language supports his message, he can start by uncrossing his arms, standing with a more open posture, and using gestures that reflect his excitement. Maintaining consistent eye contact with his audience will help him build trust and show that he's fully engaged in the conversation. These simple changes will align David's body language with his verbal message, allowing him to effectively convey his enthusiasm and gain the team's support for the project. Let's reflect more deeply on the quote, "Your body language shapes who you are." This statement, by Amy Cuddy, underscores the idea that body language not only influences how others perceive you, but also affects how you perceive yourself. When you adopt open, confident body language, such as standing tall and maintaining good posture, it can lead to a psychological shift that boosts your confidence and assertiveness. This is sometimes called power posing. And research suggests that it can help reduce stress, improve performance, and even alter your hormonal balance to make you feel more empowered. This concept is particularly relevant in professional settings, where projecting confidence is key to establishing credibility and leadership. The way you carry yourself affects both how others react to you and how you approach challenges. By mastering your body language, you can not only improve your external presence but also enhance your internal mindset, giving you the tools to handle high-pressure situations with grace and authority. Let's finish by expanding on some practical tips to improve your body language. First, always focus on standing tall. Good posture doesn't just make you look more confident. It physically opens up your chest, allowing you to breathe better and project your voice more effectively. This not only enhances your vocal clarity but also helps you appear more alert and ready to engage in conversations, making you a more compelling communicator. Second, be deliberate with your gestures. Gestures should be purposeful and aligned with what you're saying, helping to reinforce key points. Avoid random or repetitive movements as they can distract your audience and weaken the impact of your words. Lastly, maintain steady eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools in nonverbal communication as it conveys trust, attention, and sincerity. Balancing eye contact without staring helps to create a connection with your audience, making them feel heard and valued. By mastering these body language techniques, you can greatly improve your communication effectiveness and leave a lasting, positive impression on those you interact with. Facial expressions are one of the most powerful tools for conveying emotion, often more so than words. They can communicate feelings such as happiness, concern, or interest without you having to say anything. In the workplace, facial expressions play a crucial role in shaping how others perceive you. A single expression can influence the outcome of a conversation, meeting, or negotiation. For example, a warm smile can make you appear approachable and friendly, fostering trust and openness, while a frown might unintentionally communicate dissatisfaction or frustration. Understanding the power of facial expressions enables you to align your nonverbal cues with your message, ensuring your communication is authentic and effective. A mismatch between what you say and what your face conveys can create confusion or misinterpretation. Being conscious of your expressions allows you to better control how you're perceived, helping you build stronger, more positive relationships in the workplace. Nonverbal communication is constant, and even when you're not speaking, your face is sending signals. These signals can be as important as the words you choose, if not more so. Being mindful of your facial expressions ensures that your nonverbal cues align with your verbal communication, making your message more authentic. If your words say one thing but your face says another, you risk confusing your audience. For instance, if you're providing feedback and your tone is calm but your face shows frustration, your listener may focus more on your apparent displeasure than on the constructive advice you're offering. On the flip side, matching your facial expressions with your verbal tone creates a cohesive and compelling message. In professional environments where clarity is key, aligning nonverbal signals with your words helps to build credibility and trust. Let's now explore specific facial expressions and what they communicate. A genuine smile is one of the most effective ways to show warmth and confidence. It immediately makes you appear more approachable, helping to build rapport with colleagues and clients. A smile can set a positive tone for a conversation and can ease tension during difficult discussions. It's important that your smile feels natural and not forced, as insincere expressions can undermine your credibility. Raised eyebrows are another important cue. They typically indicate interest and engagement. If you're in a meeting and someone is explaining a concept, raised eyebrows signal that you're actively listening and intrigued by what is being said. However, if your eyebrows are furrowed, it can suggest concern or focus. While this may be appropriate in some situations, a furrowed brow can also be misinterpreted as frustration or displeasure, so it's important to be aware of when and how you use it. In tense or high-stakes conversations, it's essential to manage your facial expressions carefully to maintain a calm and professional atmosphere. A neutral expression can help de-escalate tension and keep the conversation on track. By consciously relaxing your facial muscles, you can prevent negative emotions from showing too easily, which might otherwise derail the discussion. Recognizing when a conversation is becoming tense is the first step. Once you're aware of the emotional shift, you can make a deliberate effort to maintain a neutral expression, which encourages a more rational and less emotionally charged dialogue. This can help others remain calm and focused on finding solutions rather than reacting emotionally. Mirroring is a powerful way to connect with others by reflecting the emotions you want to convey. This technique is particularly useful in empathetic communication. For example, if a colleague is expressing frustration or disappointment, soft eye contact and subtle nodding can signal that you understand and share their concern. Similarly, showing excitement with a smile or raised eyebrows when discussing a new project can help build enthusiasm and positivity in the conversation. Mirroring is about demonstrating that you're in tune with the emotions of the person you're speaking with, which builds trust and rapport. However, it's important to do this authentically. Over-exaggerating or forcing emotional expressions can come across as insincere and may weaken the connection you're trying to build. While facial expressions are essential for conveying emotion, it's equally important to avoid over-exaggerating them. Over-the-top expressions can make you appear insincere, which can harm your credibility. For example, an exaggerated smile can come across as disingenuous, especially if your eyes aren't engaged in the expression, as a genuine smile involves more than just the mouth. To avoid this, practice becoming more aware of your natural expressions in various situations. The goal is to adjust your facial expressions to match the context of the conversation appropriately. Whether you're in a casual discussion or a tense negotiation, your expressions should feel natural and authentic, reinforcing the message you're delivering without overwhelming it. Mastering facial expressions involves more than just knowing when to smile or raise an eyebrow. It's about ensuring that your facial expressions consistently align with your verbal communication. This consistency builds trust and ensures that your message is received as intended. If your words express excitement but your face looks bored, your audience will likely pick up on the discrepancy and may doubt your sincerity. Context is also crucial. For instance, a smile might be appropriate when welcoming new clients, but not during a serious conversation about a team member's performance issues. Being able to adjust your facial expressions to fit the situation demonstrates emotional intelligence and enhances your ability to communicate effectively. Practice is key. By regularly refining your facial expressions, you can improve your ability to convey empathy, enthusiasm, and attentiveness in any situation. Let's now take a moment to reflect on how your facial expressions have influenced recent interactions. Think about a conversation or meeting where your facial expressions may have affected how your message was received. Did your expressions match your message, or was there a disconnect? For example, in a tense moment, were you able to maintain a neutral expression, or did frustration show on your face? Identify an area where you can improve, such as using more open, friendly expressions during casual conversations or practicing neutral expressions during difficult ones. In your next interaction, focus on aligning your facial expressions with your message to reinforce the emotional tone you want to convey. Consider Sarah, a team manager who is delivering constructive feedback to an employee. Despite her calm tone and thoughtful words, her furrowed brow and frowning expression make her appear angry or critical. This causes the employee to become defensive and less receptive to the feedback. To improve, Sarah could use more neutral facial expressions while speaking, softening her brow and occasionally smiling to convey warmth and support. This would help the employee feel more comfortable and open to the feedback, leading to a more productive conversation. By managing her facial expressions, Sarah can ensure that her message is not overshadowed by unintended nonverbal cues. Now let's focus on how this quote by St. Jerome perfectly captures the essence of nonverbal communication, specifically the role of facial expressions and eye contact. Nonverbal communication, such as body language and tone, often speaks louder than words. The face, as described in this quote, acts as a mirror to the mind, meaning that what we feel internally is often reflected in our expressions, even when we don't intend it. In mastering nonverbal communication, understanding the subtle cues of facial expressions and maintaining meaningful eye contact can convey sincerity, trust, and openness without a single word spoken. The eyes, often referred to as the windows to the soul, play a crucial role in establishing rapport and connection. As St. Jerome suggests, the eyes can reveal our deepest emotions, allowing others to understand us on a more intimate level. In professional and personal settings, mastering eye contact and facial expressions enables more effective communication. Whether conveying confidence, empathy, or honesty, these nonverbal signals help build stronger, more genuine relationships, enhancing the overall communication experience. To wrap up, here are some useful tips for mastering facial expressions. First, practice smiling genuinely. A genuine smile can instantly make you seem more approachable and friendly, but it needs to come from a place of sincerity. Practicing in conversations helps you make this a natural part of your communication style. Next, be mindful of your eyes. Eye contact is critical for showing engagement and interest, but too much eye contact can be overwhelming. Striking the right balance helps you connect without making the other person uncomfortable. Finally, maintain a neutral expression during tense conversations. This will help keep the tone calm and professional, allowing you to navigate difficult discussions with composure and control. Tone of voice is an essential component of communication, especially in the workplace. It significantly affects how your message is received and interpreted. Mastering your tone allows you to convey confidence, credibility, and emotional intent. Whether you are in a meeting, delivering feedback, or negotiating, the tone you use can either strengthen or weaken your message. In this section, we'll explore how tone impacts communication, covering key aspects such as pitch, volume, and pacing. By mastering these elements, you can ensure that your tone matches the message you're delivering, making you a more effective communicator. When your tone is well controlled, you can inspire confidence, foster trust, and avoid misunderstandings, helping you excel in any workplace scenario. Let's start by exploring the fundamental elements of tone. Your pitch, volume, and pacing each play a crucial role in how your message is perceived. A higher pitch often conveys excitement or nervousness, while a lower pitch suggests calmness and confidence. Being aware of your pitch helps you manage how your emotions come across in conversations. Volume, too, is critical. Speaking too quietly may make you seem hesitant or unsure, while speaking too loudly can come across as forceful or overbearing. Finding the right volume ensures that your message is heard and understood without overpowering your listeners. Pacing, or the speed at which you speak, is another key factor. Speaking too quickly can signal nervousness, while speaking too slowly may give the impression that you're unsure or unprepared. By balancing pitch, volume, and pacing, you create a tone that's clear, confident, and persuasive. Engaging your audience requires careful attention to how you use your tone. The first strategy is to vary your tone throughout the conversation or presentation. A monotone voice can cause your audience to lose interest, even if your content is valuable. By varying your pitch, volume, and pacing, you keep listeners engaged and emphasize key points. Another effective technique is using pauses. A well-placed pause before or after an important point gives your audience time to absorb the information and signals that what you're saying is significant. Matching your tone to the context is equally important. In formal settings, a calm and measured tone is typically more appropriate, while in casual environments, you can adopt a more relaxed and conversational tone. By adapting your tone to the situation, you ensure that your message resonates with your audience. The tone you use also has a direct emotional impact on your audience. A positive tone conveys enthusiasm, confidence, and excitement, helping to build rapport and engage listeners. This is especially useful when presenting new ideas or motivating your team. On the other hand, a negative tone, such as speaking with frustration or anger, can create tension and discomfort, making it harder for others to respond positively. A neutral tone is often the best choice when delivering factual information or addressing sensitive topics. It allows you to maintain professionalism without triggering emotional reactions. By carefully choosing your tone based on the emotional impact you want to achieve, you can guide conversations toward productive outcomes while maintaining a positive atmosphere. Different workplace situations call for different tones. In meetings, using a clear and confident tone is essential for commanding attention and respect. Speaking at a moderate volume helps ensure that your message is heard without coming across as too aggressive. When providing feedback, a balanced tone is key. Being firm but supportive ensures that the feedback is taken seriously while maintaining a positive relationship with the recipient. In negotiations, a calm and assertive tone is often the most effective. It conveys confidence without being confrontational. Pauses can be particularly powerful in this context, as they allow you to emphasize key points and give the other party time to process what's being said. By adapting your tone to fit different contexts, you can navigate various workplace scenarios with confidence and clarity. Mastering tone of voice takes practice, and there are several ways to refine your skills. One effective method is to record yourself speaking. By listening to your tone, you can identify areas where you may need to improve your pitch, volume, or pacing. This allows you to become more aware of how your voice comes across to others. Seeking feedback from colleagues is another great way to understand how your tone is perceived in real-time interactions. You can ask them to provide input on whether your tone conveys the intended message, helping you make adjustments where needed. Finally, role-playing scenarios can help you practice using different tones in various workplace situations. This helps you develop the flexibility to adapt your tone based on the context, making you a more effective and adaptable communicator. Let's take some time to reflect on a recent situation where your tone of voice may have impacted the outcome. Think about a presentation, negotiation, or team meeting. Did your tone align with the message you were trying to convey, or were there moments where your tone might have detracted from your message? For instance, were you too soft-spoken when trying to express confidence or too loud when discussing a sensitive issue? Identify one area for improvement. Could you work on varying your pitch, or perhaps speaking more clearly to convey authority? In your next conversation, practice adjusting your pitch, volume, and pacing to match the message you want to deliver. By controlling your tone, you can ensure that your words carry the right emotional weight and authority. Let's look at a real-world example. John, a team supervisor, is presenting a new project to senior management. While his words express confidence, his soft, hesitant tone undermines his message, causing the leadership team to question the strength of his proposal. Despite his well-prepared content, his tone makes him seem unsure, which affects how his audience perceives him. To improve, John can focus on speaking more clearly and confidently. By raising his volume slightly and using pauses to emphasize key points, he can convey authority and make his message more persuasive. This will help him gain the trust and support of senior management. This example illustrates how crucial it is to ensure that your tone matches the confidence and clarity of your words. This famous quote by Mae West perfectly encapsulates the importance of tone in communication. No matter how well you craft your message, if your tone is off, your audience may not receive it as intended. Tone has the power to elevate your message, making it more persuasive and impactful, or it can undermine it, leading to misunderstandings or disengagement. By mastering your tone, you control not only what you say, but also how your message is experienced by others. This is especially important in professional settings where trust, clarity, and confidence are key to success. Paying attention to how you say things is just as important as the words themselves. Let's finish with some useful tips for mastering your tone of voice. First, adjust your volume to suit the setting. Make sure your voice is loud enough to be heard, but not so loud that it overpowers the conversation. Speaking clearly and with purpose helps ensure that your message is both understood and respected. Second, use pauses for impact. A well-placed pause can draw attention to important points, giving your audience time to absorb the information and increasing the overall impact of your message. Finally, monitor your pitch. Keeping your pitch in check is crucial, as a higher pitch can signal stress or excitement, while a lower pitch often conveys calmness and control. By mastering these elements, you can become a more effective and confident communicator in any professional setting. Understanding nonverbal cues is crucial for effective communication, especially in the workplace. Nonverbal cues like facial expressions, posture, and gestures offer valuable insight into what someone is truly thinking or feeling, even when their words might suggest something different. This skill allows you to gauge reactions and adjust your approach in real time, helping you navigate complex conversations more effectively. In professional settings, being able to interpret these cues helps build stronger connections and can reveal underlying concerns or approval. By observing and responding to nonverbal signals, you can create more engaging interactions, enhance collaboration, and resolve potential conflicts before they escalate. Let's explore some key nonverbal cues that signal engagement during conversations. Maintaining eye contact is one of the strongest indicators that someone is interested and focused on what you're saying. It shows that they are fully present and processing your words. Nodding is another important cue. It not only shows agreement but also encourages the speaker to continue, indicating that their message is being well received. Lastly, leaning forward is a physical signal of eagerness and attentiveness. This posture shows that the listener is engaged and actively participating in the conversation. Recognizing these signs helps you adjust your communication to maintain engagement. Recognizing signs of resistance is just as important as noticing engagement. When someone crosses their arms, it often indicates discomfort, defensiveness, or disagreement with the topic being discussed. This posture is a clear nonverbal sign that the person may be resistant to what's being said. Looking away or avoiding eye contact can also signal disinterest or resistance. It suggests that the person may not be fully engaged in the conversation or may be disagreeing internally. Finally, fidgeting or restless movements often indicate unease or a desire to end the conversation. By identifying these cues early, you can adjust your approach to address the concerns or disengagement. Microexpressions are brief, involuntary facial expressions that can reveal a person's true feelings even when they are trying to mask them. A furrowed brow, for example, might indicate confusion or concern, even if the person doesn't verbalize it. A quick flash of surprise, such as a widening of the eyes, can reveal an unexpected reaction, while a subtle smile may indicate hidden amusement or agreement. Being able to notice these fleeting expressions can give you deeper insight into what someone is thinking, helping you adjust your communication accordingly. Let's discuss how you can effectively respond to the nonverbal cues you observe. First, observe carefully. Pay attention to body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice to gather clues about the other person's feelings and engagement. Once you've observed these cues, interpret what they might mean. Are they showing signs of interest, confusion, or resistance? Based on your interpretation, respond accordingly. For instance, if you notice discomfort or disagreement, address it openly by asking questions or clarifying points. Responding appropriately to nonverbal signals can help you maintain a more productive and positive conversation. Let's take a moment to practice observing nonverbal cues in your next conversation. Focus on the body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice of the person you're speaking with. Note any signs of engagement, such as eye contact or nodding, as well as any signals of resistance, like crossed arms or looking away. If you observe signs of disengagement, adjust your approach by asking questions or offering clarifications to re-engage the person. After the conversation, reflect on how reading nonverbal cues helped you tailor your communication. This practice will enhance your ability to navigate conversations more effectively in the future. Let's consider a real-world scenario. Anna, a manager, is pitching a new idea to her team. During the presentation, notices that one of her team members, Mark, has crossed his arms and is looking at the floor, suggesting that he might be resistant to the idea. Recognizing this, Anna pauses to ask for feedback and specifically invites Mark to share his thoughts. This approach acknowledges his discomfort and opens the door for discussion, allowing her to address any concerns before moving forward. By responding to Mark's nonverbal cues, Anna ensures that the team remains engaged and on the same page. This quote by Peter Drucker emphasizes the importance of paying attention to nonverbal cues in communication. Often what people don't say verbally is just as important as what they do say. Understanding body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice allows you to hear the unspoken parts of a conversation, giving you valuable insights into the true feelings and intentions of others. By mastering the ability to read and respond to nonverbal cues, you enhance your overall communication skills and improve your ability to build trust, resolve conflicts, and collaborate more effectively. Here are some useful tips for reading nonverbal cues effectively. First, look for consistent signals. One gesture or facial expression might not tell the whole story, so it's important to observe patterns in someone's body language and tone of voice to gauge their true feelings. Second, don't hesitate to ask for feedback. If you notice signs of disengagement or confusion, pause the conversation and ask for input. This not only helps you clarify your message, but also shows that you are responsive to the other person's needs. Finally, stay open. Maintain open body language and a friendly tone to encourage others to do the same, creating a more collaborative and communicative environment.
Ever walk out of a meeting just like totally confused about what just happened? Like everybody said all the right things, but the vibe was just off.
Yeah, that disconnect. It's often like the unspoken stuff tripping us up,
Exactly. And that is why we are diving deep into the world of nonverbal communication today. We've got chapter 4 of this awesome workplace communication guide, and it is jam-packed with insights.
Yeah, it really highlights just how much we depend on those subtle cues, especially at work, right? I mean, we're always sending and receiving these messages without even realizing it.
Okay, so the source kicks things off with body language, which, I mean, seems kind of obvious, right? But then it goes deep into how easily we can just completely undermine ourselves. Like, say you're pitching like $1 million idea, but you're just slumped in your chair like...
It's game over. Game over before you even begin. And it's not about being fake or anything like that. It's just about aligning, I think, your body with the message that you want to send.
Totally. Like, the source had a whole section on posture. And I was blown away by how much emphasis they put on, like, just standing or sitting up straight.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's like we instinctively associate an upright posture with confidence and authority. Think about like leaders that you admire. They often carry themselves with like a certain presence.
Oh, it's so true. And it's funny. I actually caught myself slouching while reading that part.
Really?
I was like, okay, universe, I get it.
You're already putting it into practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not just about looking confident. It's about feeling it too, right? I mean, if you're constantly hunched over, you're probably not radiating that I've got this energy.
Which, brings up those closed off signals that the source talks about. Like if slouching says like, don't mind me, what does crossing your arms say?
Oh, it can create a barrier. Even if it's unintentional. Imagine like you're trying to get your point across, you're really trying to like share this idea, and someone in the room is sitting there arms crossed.
Yeah.
Tight.
You'd probably just think they hated it, even if their words said otherwise.
Exactly. And it's about, being able to read those cues. And I think adjusting your own behavior accordingly. So, maybe you soften your approach a little bit or address their concerns directly.
Yeah. There's like a silent conversation that's happening at the same time as the words.
Right.
Speaking of which, the source had a whole section on gestures, and it really hit home how powerful even small movements can be.
Absolutely. A well-placed gesture can really emphasize a point, Express enthusiasm, create a connection with your audience even.
Yeah. It's like you don't want to be that person like wildly gesturing throughout a meeting.
Right.
But the right gesture at the right time.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's about being intentional. Think about those speakers that you've seen that really captivate a room. A lot of times it's their, masterful use of gesture that just adds that extra layer of engagement.
While we're talking about gestures, the source had this whole bit on nervous habits.
Oh, yeah.
Which, let's be real, we all have them.
Of course, who doesn't?
Like the foot tapping, the pen clicking.
Yeah, all the time.
All those little giveaways that were actually like a nervous wreck inside.
Basket case, yeah.
And the source makes this point, which I thought was really interesting, that like, okay, a tell can be subconscious, right?
Right.
But just being aware of it, like, is a huge first step. It's like, okay, maybe I always click my pen when I'm anxious.
Yeah.
Now what?
Now you can like manage it, right? Because that nervous energy, it leaks out. And a lot of times it's through those, micro movements.
Oh, way.
So the source suggested practicing stillness, especially in those like high stakes conversations.
Oh, that's interesting. Like training your body to project calm.
Yes.
Even when internally you're like, oh my gosh, don't mess this up.
Exactly. Channel that energy into something purposeful, like eye contact, for example.
Ooh.
Which brings us to the face.
Okay, talking about expressive.
Yeah.
The source dug into all sorts of facial cues, that I'd never even considered.
Yeah.
Like, we all know a fake smile when we see one.
Sure, yeah.
But what about those micro expressions they talk about?
Oh, micro expressions are so cool.
What?
They're fascinating because they happen so fast that most people don't even consciously notice them.
Wow.
But imagine, like, you're in a negotiation
Okay.
and you see, like, this flicker of anger across someone's face.
Yeah.
Even if they're saying all the right things.
Oh, that's huge.
Right.
It's like their true feelings are betraying them for a split second.
Exactly. And that split second, if you know what to look for, it can be so revealing.
Wow.
The source mentioned eyebrows specifically,
Real?
which I thought was really interesting.
Eyebrows, you mean like a raised eyebrow equals skepticism?
Exactly. Or think about, like, when someone's really engaged with a story,
Okay.
their eyebrows might go up just slightly.
Yeah, they do.
It's subtle, but it
Agreed.
conveys this sense of, like, tell me more, I'm hooked.
Oh, totally. I
Yeah.
do that. It's like an unconscious, I'm listening.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
And then on the flip side, imagine somene's telling you something really important
Yeah.
and their eyebrows just stay, like, firmly planted.
Yeah.
You might start to question, like, are they really with me here?
Yeah, it's almost like they're not even processing what you're saying.
Right. And the source highlighted how critical this can be in those sensitive conversations, like, if a manager's giving feedback, for example.
Oh, for sure, because it's not just the words themselves.
This is the message behind them.
Exactly. It's like if you accidentally use your disappointed parent voice,
No.
even when you're trying to be supportive,
Exactly. Even with the best intentions.
right?
A furrowed brow or, like, a pursed lip can completely change how that feedback is received.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the words themselves are positive.
Totally.
The source had a great example of a manager whose feedback totally backfired.
Really?
Because his facial expressions were saying one thing,
Oh.
but his words were saying something totally different.
Oh, I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
You're trying to be encouraging, but your face is just like
Totally wrong.
betraying your true feelings.
Yeah, sending those mixed messages, which brings us to tone of voice.
Okay.
You could have the best pep talk,
Right.
totally prepared,
Yeah.
but,
If you deliver it in monotone,
everyone's asleep.
it's like the difference between a really captivating story and a dry textbook.
Yeah,
Like, it's the same content,
Hey, so it
clearly
was-
different delivery.
that's such a good point.
Which is why I thought it was so helpful how the source breaks tone down into those three elements:
Yes.
pitch, volume, and pacing.
Yes. Okay, so starting with pitch,
Yeah.
I feel like I never really realized how much that could impact how other people perceive you.
It's huge.
Yeah.
A higher pitch can make you sound really enthusiastic,
Okay.
maybe even a little nervous,
Yeah.
while a lower pitch kind of conveys that calmness, that authority.
So finding that sweet spot for your natural pitch is key.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't want to sound like you're about to pass out from nervousness
Exactly.
during a presentation.
But also, you don't want to put your audience to sleep.
Right. Exactly.
And that's where volume comes in.
That's right.
Speaking too softly. I mean, that can make you seem really uncertain.
It can.
But then again, who wants to be that person who's practically shouting
Right.
in a meeting?
So it's about finding that balance, right? Like being heard without being overwhelming.
Totally.
And it's not just about the overall volume, but also about vocal variety.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Yeah, the source mentions this just briefly,
Oh, okay.
but it's so important
Yeah.
because a monotone voice, even at the perfect volume, can still be incredibly boring to listen to.
It's true. It's like listening to a dial tone.
Exactly.
You're technically hearing something,
Right.
but it's not exactly captivating.
Exactly. Varying your volume even can make your voice more dynamic, more engaging.
That's a good point.
And then, of course, we can't forget about pacing.
Pacing is huge.
Huge. So important.
But because if you speak too quickly, you just sound nervous or like you're trying to rush through everything.
Right. Exactly.
But speak too slowly.
Yeah. And you risk losing people's attention. Right.
Totally.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that pace that feels natural, that's comfortable, that's engaging for both you and the person that you're talking to.
And just like with volume, right? Varying your pace can be like incredibly effective.
Oh, for sure.
It's like you're highlighting certain words or phrases
Yeah.
with your voice,
Precisely. Slowing down to emphasize a key point or like speeding up a little to build excitement. It's like using your voice as an instrument,
It's true.
to keep your listener engaged.
It's like you're painting a picture with sound.
I like that. Yeah.
So we've covered a ton about
Yeah.
how we present ourselves, like our body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, all of that.
Right.
But the real magic happens when we kind of flip the script,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we start trying to read those same cues in other people.
Absolutely. It's like leveling up.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the source makes it very clear that, like, this isn't about becoming a mind reader or anything.
Okay.
This is about, like, becoming a better conversationalist
Right.
by just picking up on the subtle signals.
Yeah. Yeah. It lets you respond more effectively in real time.
Oh, totally.
Like imagine you're giving a presentation
Yeah.
and you see someone whose eyes are starting to glaze over.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like time to switch gears before you lose them completely.
Right. Totally. Or you're, like, pitching an idea and you notice someone subtly shaking their head
Yes.
instead of just, like, barreling on.
Right.
You can, like, address their concerns directly.
Yes, exactly. Those little cues can tell you so much.
It's like you're playing a game of chess and then suddenly you can see, like, your opponent's next move.
Right. Right, exactly.
So, like, what kind of cues should we be looking for?
Well, the source had some really good tips on like how to spot those signs of engagement, like nodding, making eye contact, leaning in, all those things that kind of say like, I'm with you.
Yeah, those are usually pretty easy to spot, I think, if you're looking for them.
Right.
But what about the opposite? Like, how do we know if someone is, like, totally checked out or, like, disagreeing with us?
Well, that's where it gets a little more subtle, right? I mean, crossed arms,
Yeah.
classic.
But it can be way more subtle than that.
Yeah.
Like eyes averted, fidgeting, even just the slightest little frown.
Yeah.
All of those can be signs of, like, I'm not so sure.
It's funny how those tiny little things can say so much.
They really do. Our bodies have their own language,
Mhm.
right? And the more fluent we become, I think, in that language, both speaking and understanding it, the better we become at, just communicating in general.
So much to think about. If our listener takes away just one thing from this whole deep dive, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
I know, right?
Practice, I
Yeah.
think. The source really hammered home that becoming fluent in this stuff, it takes time and effort.
It makes sense. It's like, learning any new language. You wouldn't expect to be fluent overnight. Exactly. So pick one thing. Maybe
Wow.
it's focusing on your posture. Maybe it's paying more attention to your tone of voice and really hone in on that one thing. And
Yeah.
I think over time, those small improvements, they'll make a big difference.
I love that. To our listener, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into nonverbal communication, learning all this stuff. It's a journey, and this is really just the beginning.
It is. There's so much more out there.
Keep exploring, keep practicing, and most importantly, just keep observing.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to those around you.
That subtle dance.
Yes. You never know what you might learn from a raised eyebrow or a well-timed pause.
That's right.
Until next time.
Welcome to Chapter 5 on active listening. This is more than just hearing words, it's a conscious effort to understand, interpret, and respond to the speaker's message. This type of listening is essential in the workplace, where clear communication is critical to building trust and avoiding misunderstandings. When you practice active listening, you focus entirely on the speaker, showing them that you value their input. It's not just about what is being said, but also about the emotions, tone, and body language that accompany the words. Active listening involves more than simply nodding along or offering occasional responses. It's about creating an environment where the speaker feels comfortable expressing their thoughts openly, knowing that they are being truly heard. In the workplace, this can lead to better collaboration, more creative problem-solving, and stronger professional relationships. By mastering active listening, you foster a culture of respect and empathy, which is vital for effective teamwork and leadership. Full attention is the foundation of active listening, but it's not always easy to achieve in today's fast-paced work environments filled with distractions. When you give someone your full attention, you signal that their message is important to you. This doesn't just mean listening to their words, it also involves watching their body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice, which are all key elements of communication. To demonstrate full attention, eliminate potential distractions before the conversation begins. Put away your phone, close your laptop, and face the speaker directly. Leaning in slightly can show interest and attentiveness, while maintaining eye contact reinforces that you are fully engaged. Additionally, subtle actions like nodding or smiling when appropriate help to encourage the speaker and show that you are following their message. By offering your full attention, you ensure that you fully understand the speaker's message and avoid potential miscommunications that could arise from divided focus. Listening to understand is one of the core principles of active listening, but it's often overlooked. Many people listen with the intent to respond, meaning they focus more on what they'll say next rather than truly understanding the speaker's message. To listen effectively, you must shift your mindset from responding to understanding. This requires setting aside your own thoughts and focusing entirely on what the speaker is saying, including their emotions and motivations. When you listen to understand, you're better equipped to grasp the full context of the conversation. You gain insight into the speaker's perspective, which allows for more thoughtful and meaningful responses. This approach also encourages a deeper connection, as the speaker feels heard and validated. In the workplace, listening to understand is crucial for resolving conflicts, building consensus, and making well-informed decisions. It shows that you respect the other person's viewpoint, which can lead to more productive and harmonious interactions. Acknowledging and reflecting on the speaker's message is a powerful way to show that you're engaged in the conversation. Acknowledgement can be as simple as nodding your head, saying "I see," or offering brief verbal affirmations that indicate you're following along. These small gestures let the speaker know that their message is being heard and understood. Reflecting takes this a step further by summarizing or paraphrasing what the speaker has said, which helps to confirm that you've interpreted the message correctly. For example, if a colleague is expressing frustration about a project delay, you might reflect by saying, "It sounds like you're concerned about how the delay is affecting our timeline. Am I understanding that correctly?" This technique not only ensures clarity but also validates the speaker's feelings, showing empathy and a genuine interest in their concerns. By acknowledging and reflecting, you create a more open dialogue where both parties feel understood, which leads to stronger relationships and more effective communication. Avoiding interruptions is a key aspect of active listening that demonstrates respect and patience. When you allow someone to speak without cutting them off, you show that you value their input and are willing to give them the time and space to express themselves fully. Interrupting not only disrupts the speaker's train of thought but can also come across as dismissive or disrespectful, suggesting that what you have to say is more important than their message. Interrupting often happens when we're eager to share our own thoughts or when we feel we already know what the speaker is going to say. However, this habit can lead to misunderstandings, as the full message may not have been delivered yet. By practicing restraint and letting the speaker finish, you give them the opportunity to fully articulate their thoughts. This allows you to gain a deeper understanding of their perspective, and it encourages a more respectful and productive conversation. Asking clarifying questions is an essential tool for active listeners, as it helps to ensure that you've fully understood the speaker's message. Even when we listen carefully, some points may be unclear or require further explanation. Asking questions shows the speaker that you're genuinely interested in their message and are committed to understanding their perspective. It also helps prevent miscommunication, which can lead to mistakes or misunderstandings in the workplace. Clarifying questions can be as simple as, "Can you elaborate on that point?" or "What did you mean when you said these?" Questions encourage the speaker to provide more detail, ensuring that both parties are on the same page. Additionally, this process helps the speaker feel that their message is being taken seriously, which can build trust and strengthen the overall communication dynamic. By asking clarifying questions, you demonstrate your commitment to understanding and resolving any uncertainties in the conversation. Let's put active listening into practice by focusing on full attention in your next conversation. Begin by consciously eliminating distractions, set aside your phone, close any unnecessary tabs on your computer, and mentally prepare to focus fully on the speaker. During the conversation, make a point of maintaining eye contact and using positive body language, such as nodding or leaning slightly forward, to signal your engagement. Resist the urge to prepare your response while the speaker is talking. Instead, focus entirely on their words, tone, and body language. Once the speaker is finished, take a moment to summarize what you've heard. This could be a simple reflection such as, "It sounds like you're concerned about the timeline. Am I getting that right?" Reflect afterward on how this practice impacted the conversation. Did you notice a deeper level of engagement from the speaker? Did you gain a clearer understanding of their message? Let's consider how active listening plays out in the real world. In a meeting, Chris presents a detailed plan for a new project, but Sarah, one of his team members, is distracted by her phone and doesn't give her full attention. When Chris finishes, Sarah asks a question that reveals she missed an important point, causing confusion and frustration in the team. This situation highlights the negative impact of not listening attentively. It can slow down progress and damage team dynamics. In future meetings, Sarah can practice active listening by putting away her phone, making eye contact with Chris, and focusing fully on his presentation. By summarizing his key points and asking thoughtful questions, she'll be better equipped to contribute meaningfully to the discussion. This shift not only improves her understanding of the project but also shows respect for Chris's effort and fosters a more collaborative team environment. Let's now think about Stephen Covey's quote, "Most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply," which speaks to a common barrier in communication. Often people focus on crafting their response while the other person is still speaking, which leads to incomplete understanding. This habit of listening to respond can cause us to miss key details or misinterpret the speaker's intent, leading to ineffective communication and potential conflict. Shifting your mindset to listen with the intent to understand means putting your own thoughts aside and fully focusing on the speaker. This allows you to engage more deeply with the message and respond thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively. By adopting this approach, you create more meaningful conversations, improve your relationships, and become a more effective communicator in both personal and professional settings. To conclude, let's explore some practical tips for improving your active listening skills. First, eliminate distractions. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to let phones, emails, or even thoughts about upcoming tasks interfere with conversations. Make a conscious effort to remove these distractions and focus fully on the speaker, both in person and during virtual meetings. Second, practice patience. Let the speaker finish before you offer your response, even if you're eager to share your thoughts. This shows respect and allows you to absorb their full message. Finally, always summarize what you've heard to ensure clarity. Paraphrasing the speaker's key points not only confirms your understanding but also helps to prevent any miscommunication. These simple techniques will help you become a more engaged and effective listener, improving both your personal and professional interactions. Let's now discuss the importance of empathy in active listening. Empathy is not just about understanding what someone is saying, but about connecting with their feelings and emotions. It is one of the most critical aspects of active listening, particularly in the workplace, where trust, communication, and relationships are foundational to success. When you listen with empathy, you aim to grasp the speaker's emotions, thoughts, and intentions. This deep level of understanding allows you to respond in a way that validates their feelings and shows that you truly care about their well-being. Moreover, empathetic listening is key to building meaningful relationships. When people know that they are being listened to empathetically, they are more likely to trust you, open up, and share their thoughts freely. This openness encourages honest communication, making it easier to resolve conflicts and collaborate effectively. In a professional setting, empathetic listening can lead to stronger teamwork, more innovative solutions, and a more positive, inclusive work environment. Let's now explore the concept of creating a safe environment in the context of empathetic listening. Empathetic listening is essential for building trust and fostering open communication within teams. It creates a safe space where individuals feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment. When people feel secure in their environment, they are more likely to engage in honest and meaningful conversations, which strengthens relationships and enhances collaboration. First, it's important to recognize emotions during conversations. This means tuning into both direct and indirect emotional cues. People may not always express their feelings openly, so being attuned to subtle signals like body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions is crucial. Recognizing these emotions helps you understand the speaker on a deeper level, allowing you to respond more empathetically. Secondly, it's critical to avoid judgments while listening. Keep an open mind without making assumptions about the speaker's intentions or feelings. Jumping to conclusions can shut down communication, as it may make the speaker feel misunderstood or dismissed. Instead, focus on understanding the speaker's perspective without forming premature opinions. Finally, be sure to validate feelings. Acknowledging emotions, even if you don't necessarily agree with the speaker, shows that you respect their experience. Saying something like, "I can see that this situation has been difficult for you," validates their feelings and creates a sense of safety. This encourages more open and honest communication, as the speaker feels understood and valued. By practicing these steps, recognizing emotions, avoiding judgments, and validating feelings, you create a supportive and trusting environment that encourages deeper connections and more effective communication. Let's now explore perspective taking, a crucial skill in empathetic listening. Perspective taking is about putting yourself in the speaker's shoes and trying to understand how they feel in their situation. It requires more than just hearing the words being spoken. It's about imagining the emotions and experiences behind those words to gain deeper insight into their perspective. First, you need to listen carefully to the speaker's words and tone. Pay attention not only to what they say, but also to how they say it. The tone of voice can reveal much about a person's emotional state, whether they are frustrated, anxious, or excited. Listening actively helps you catch these cues and understand the emotions behind the words. Next, imagine yourself in their position. Visualize what it might be like to experience what the speaker is going through. How would you feel in their shoes? This step is key to developing empathy, as it helps you connect with the speaker's feelings and gain a better understanding of their emotional landscape. Finally, strive to understand the speaker's perspective and feelings. After listening and imagining their situation, you'll be better equipped to grasp the nuances of their emotions and concerns. Understanding their perspective allows you to respond in a way that is supportive, thoughtful, and empathetic, ultimately strengthening your relationship and enhancing communication. Let's now look at nonverbal empathy and how it plays a significant role in empathetic listening. Nonverbal communication, such as body language, eye contact, and tone of voice, can convey empathy and understanding just as effectively as words. First, nodding is a simple yet powerful gesture that shows agreement and understanding. When you nod during a conversation, you signal that you're following along and validating the speaker's feelings or thoughts. This small action provides reassurance to the speaker that you're actively engaged and listening attentively. Next, soft eye contact is essential for maintaining a connection without making the speaker feel intimidated. It shows that you are present in the conversation and focused on what they are saying. Soft eye contact strikes a balance between showing interest and avoiding a gaze that might feel overwhelming or intrusive. It creates a sense of trust and comfort, making the speaker feel seen and understood. Finally, using a calm tone of voice helps create a soothing atmosphere. When you speak with a calm, gentle tone, you convey that you're not rushing or pressuring the speaker. This tone reassures them that you are empathetic and patient, which encourages them to continue sharing their thoughts and emotions. Let's now examine the importance of patience in empathetic listening. Patience is crucial in creating a supportive environment where the speaker feels they have enough time and space to express themselves fully. First, it's important to allow pauses in the conversation. Giving the speaker time to gather their thoughts is key to empathetic listening. By allowing pauses, you give them the space to communicate at their own pace, which makes them feel more comfortable and valued. Secondly, always resist interrupting. Wait for natural breaks in the conversation to respond rather than jumping in while the speaker is still processing. By resisting the urge to speak too quickly, you show that you're focused on fully understanding their message before offering your own input. Lastly, encourage elaboration when necessary. If the speaker is struggling to express themselves or needs a little prompting, use gentle prompts to invite them to share more. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about that?" or "How did that make you feel?" can help them elaborate on their thoughts and emotions. This shows that you are genuinely interested in hearing more and are committed to understanding their full experience. Let's now look at the wide range of benefits that empathetic listening brings to the workplace. Empathetic listening offers a wide range of benefits both for individuals and teams. Firstly, it builds trust between colleagues by showing that their feelings and perspectives are being taken seriously. When people feel that they are being listened to empathetically, they are more likely to trust and respect the person they are communicating with. This trust is essential for creating a supportive and collaborative work environment. Secondly, empathetic listening enhances collaboration by fostering open communication. Empathetic listening also leads to better problem solving. By taking the time to understand all perspectives involved in an issue, you can address the root causes of the problem rather than just the surface-level symptoms. This results in more thoughtful and effective solutions that benefit the entire team. Additionally, empathetic listening can help to resolve conflicts more smoothly, as it allows both parties to feel heard and validated. Let's now engage in an activity designed to help you practice empathetic listening. First, Think about a recent conversation where someone expressed strong emotions, such as frustration, excitement, or worry. Reflect on how you responded during that conversation and whether you truly acknowledged their emotions. Next, ask yourself if you focused more on providing a solution or if you took the time to recognize their feelings. If you didn't acknowledge their emotions, consider how the conversation might have been different if you had. In your next conversation, make a conscious effort to use empathetic phrases like "it sounds like you're feeling concerned." This will show the speaker that you are listening attentively and that their feelings are being validated. Finally, after the conversation, take a moment to reflect on the outcome. Did acknowledging their emotions make the speaker feel more comfortable and open? This reflection will help you see the impact of empathetic listening and how it can lead to deeper, more meaningful conversations. Let's now look at a real-world example of empathetic listening in action. John, a team leader, notices that one of his employees, Maria, is feeling stressed about an upcoming deadline. Instead of immediately offering advice or jumping in with solutions, John takes the time to ask Maria how she's feeling. He acknowledges her stress by saying, "I understand this project is a lot to handle, and it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed." By recognizing Maria's emotions, John creates a space where she feels understood. By showing empathy, John helps Maria feel heard and supported. This encourages her to open up about her challenges. As a result, they can brainstorm solutions together to help manage her workload. This example demonstrates how empathetic listening can foster a more open, trusting relationship and lead to more effective problem-solving. Let's reflect on this insightful quote by Ralph G. Nichols. "The most basic of all human needs is the need to understand and be understood. The best way to understand people is to listen to them firstly." This quote captures the essence of empathetic listening. People want to feel understood, and the most effective way to meet this need is through attentive, empathetic listening. Secondly, in the workplace, empathetic listening helps to build stronger relationships and more effective communication, which are essential for team success. When individuals feel that their thoughts and emotions are being understood, they are more likely to engage fully in conversations and contribute their best efforts. By practicing empathetic listening, you create an environment where understanding and connection thrive, leading to a more positive and productive workplace. Let's now review some useful tips for practicing empathetic listening. Firstly, always make an effort to acknowledge the speaker's feelings. A simple phrase like "it sounds like you're feeling emotion" can go a long way in showing that you are attuned to their emotions and value their experience. Secondly, avoid jumping into problem solving too quickly. Sometimes, people just need to be heard and validated before they are ready to explore solutions. Rushing to offer advice can shut down meaningful conversations. Lastly, practice patience. Allow the speaker to share at their own pace without interrupting or rushing them. By giving them space, you create a more open and supportive conversation. These tips will help you become a more empathetic listener, strengthening your relationships and enhancing communication in both personal and professional settings. Active listening is essential for effective communication, but various barriers can prevent us from fully engaging with the speaker. These barriers can be external, like environmental distractions, or internal, such as personal biases or emotional reactions. Understanding these obstacles is key to becoming a more attentive and effective listener. By identifying and addressing these barriers, you can improve your focus and create a better connection with the speaker. Overcoming these barriers not only enhances your listening skills but also strengthens relationships in the workplace. When barriers are removed, communication becomes clearer, more meaningful, and more productive. In this section, we'll explore some common obstacles to active listening and strategies to overcome them, allowing you to fully engage in conversations. External distractions can significantly impact your ability to listen actively. Background noise, such as loud sounds or conversations happening nearby, can make it difficult to focus on the speaker. Similarly, phone interruptions, like incoming calls or notifications, this can pull your attention away from the conversation, causing you to miss important details. Visual distractions, such as movement or activity in the surrounding area, can also divert your focus. These distractions make it harder to concentrate on the speaker's message, leading to a breakdown in communication. To overcome these challenges, it's important to minimize external distractions by finding a quiet space, silencing your phone, and ensuring your environment is conducive to focused listening. Internal barriers to active listening include personal biases, emotional reactions, and preconceived notions about the speaker or topic. Personal biases can color how we interpret information, leading us to focus only on details that align with our existing beliefs. Emotional reactions, such as anger, frustration, or excitement, can cloud judgment and prevent us from listening objectively. Preconceptions about the speaker or the subject matter can also hinder open-minded listening. When we assume we already know what will be said, we might tune out parts of the conversation or fail to fully understand the speaker's perspective. To overcome these internal barriers, it's important to approach conversations with an open mind, setting aside preconceived notions and focusing on understanding the full message. Multitasking during conversations is one of the biggest pitfalls of active listening. When we try to juggle multiple tasks while listening, such as checking emails or working on a project, our attention is divided. This divided attention reduces our ability to fully comprehend what's being said, leading to misunderstandings and misinformation. In addition, multitasking diminishes the connection with the speaker. When the speaker senses that you are not fully engaged, it can weaken trust and harm the relationship. To avoid this, prioritize single-task focus during conversations. Set aside distractions and commit to being fully present with the speaker, ensuring that you capture the full message and maintain a strong connection. Creating the right environment for focused listening is essential to overcoming barriers. A quiet space with minimal background noise ensures that both parties can focus on the conversation without unnecessary interruptions. Comfortable seating is also important, as it allows both the listener and speaker to feel physically at ease, promoting better focus and communication. Minimizing distractions, such as turning off phones and closing unnecessary tabs on your computer, further enhances your ability to listen actively. By choosing the right environment, you set the stage for a productive conversation where both parties can communicate clearly and without interference. There are several effective strategies to improve focused listening. First, check your biases. Being aware of any assumptions or preconceived notions can help you approach the conversation with an open mind. Next, practice single-task focus by giving your undivided attention to the speaker throughout the conversation. Active engagement is another key strategy. Use nonverbal cues like nodding or maintaining eye contact to show the speaker that you're paying attention. Asking clarifying questions also demonstrates that you're fully engaged in understanding their message. These strategies help ensure that you're not only hearing the speaker but also connecting with their message on a deeper level. Let's practice overcoming listening barriers by identifying and addressing a common obstacle in your workplace. Start by thinking about a typical barrier to active listening that you face, whether it's background noise, multitasking, or personal biases. In your next conversation, consciously address this barrier. For example, if it's a distraction, remove it before the conversation starts, or if it's an internal bias, remind yourself to stay open-minded. Afterward, observe how eliminating this barrier impacts your ability to listen more effectively. Did you find that you were more focused and engaged in the conversation? Reflect on how overcoming this barrier changed the quality of the interaction. Did the speaker seem more engaged as well? By actively working to eliminate barriers, you can improve both your listening skills and the overall communication dynamic. Let's explore a real-world example to see how overcoming listening barriers can improve communication. Emma, a team manager, is having a one-on-one conversation with her colleague Dave. While Dave is explaining a challenge he's facing, Emma is distracted by her phone notifications, which causes her to miss key parts of the conversation. In future meetings, Emma can silence her phone and set it aside to ensure that she's fully present during the conversation. By eliminating this distraction, she can focus on Dave's concerns, listen more attentively, and offer more thoughtful feedback. This small adjustment will help Emma improve her listening skills, strengthen her relationship with Dave, and make their conversations more productive. This quote underscores a common barrier to active listening: the tendency to focus more on formulating a response than on truly understanding the speaker's message. When we listen with the intent to reply, we miss important details and fail to grasp the speaker's full perspective. Overcoming this tendency requires a conscious effort to listen with the intent to understand rather than respond. By shifting your focus to understanding, you open the door to deeper, more meaningful conversations. This approach not only helps you grasp the speaker's message more fully, but also demonstrates that you respect their viewpoint, leading to more effective and empathetic communication. Here are some useful tips for overcoming barriers to active listening. First, eliminate distractions. Find a quiet space for important conversations and set aside any devices or tasks that might pull your attention away. Second, stay open-minded. Avoid letting biases or preconceived notions cloud your judgment. Focus on understanding the speaker's message before forming an opinion. Finally, stop multitasking. Active listening requires your full attention, so avoid trying to juggle other tasks while in conversation. By implementing these tips, you'll be able to engage more fully with the speaker, overcome listening barriers, and create more productive, meaningful interactions. Remember that asking thoughtful questions is a powerful tool in communication, especially in the workplace. These questions demonstrate that you're actively engaged and genuinely interested in understanding the speaker's perspective. When you ask deeper, more reflective questions, you encourage the speaker to expand on their thoughts and ideas, creating a richer dialogue. Thoughtful questions help move the conversation beyond surface-level answers and allow both parties to explore topics more meaningfully. In the workplace, thoughtful questions play a key role in fostering collaboration, problem-solving, and innovation. They show that you're not just passively receiving information but are actively participating in the conversation. By inviting the speaker to elaborate and think more critically about their ideas, you help uncover valuable insights that might otherwise be overlooked. This not only strengthens your relationship with the speaker but also improves the overall quality of communication. There are different types of thoughtful questions that can be used depending on the context of the conversation. First, open-ended questions encourage the speaker to share more than just a simple answer, prompting them to reflect and elaborate. For example, instead of asking, "Did the project go well?" you might ask, "What challenges did you face during the project?" This type of question encourages a more detailed and insightful response. Secondly, clarifying questions ensure that you fully understand the speaker's message by asking them to explain their thoughts more clearly. This is particularly useful when you need to dig deeper into a complex topic. Probing questions take the conversation even further by encouraging the speaker to reflect on their feelings or motivations. These questions often start with phrases like, "How do you feel about?" or "What do you think was the biggest challenge?" Thoughtful probing helps the speaker articulate thoughts they may not have fully explored, leading to more meaningful dialogue. Each type of question serves a purpose, and together, they create a robust framework for deeper conversations. Let's now look at the benefits of asking thoughtful questions, which are vast. First and foremost, they show that you are fully engaged in the conversation, which encourages the speaker to open up and share more freely. This level of engagement fosters trust and respect, leading to stronger professional relationships. Secondly, thoughtful questions promote better understanding by encouraging the speaker to clarify their ideas and provide more detailed information. This helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that both parties are on the same page. In addition to improving understanding, asking thoughtful questions can also lead to new insights. By prompting the speaker to reflect on their experiences or consider alternative perspectives, you may uncover valuable information that wasn't initially apparent. This exploration of ideas can lead to more innovative solutions and a deeper comprehension of the subject at hand. Ultimately, thoughtful questions help facilitate more meaningful, productive conversations. Experts agree that asking thoughtful questions is one of the most effective ways to engage in conversations. First, they recommend avoiding leading questions, which can steer the speaker toward a specific answer and limit the depth of the conversation. Instead, ask open-ended questions that allow for a range of responses and perspectives. This creates a space for the speaker to express themselves more fully and provides a richer discussion. Secondly, it's important to follow the speaker's lead. Rather than forcing the conversation in a particular direction, ask questions that build on what the speaker has already said. This shows that you're listening attentively and are genuinely interested in exploring their thoughts further. Being genuinely curious also plays a crucial role. When you ask questions from a place of authentic interest, the conversation becomes more engaging and meaningful for both parties. Your curiosity encourages the speaker to delve deeper into their ideas, which can lead to more insightful and productive discussions. To ask thoughtful questions effectively, it's essential to first listen actively. This means paying close attention to not only the speaker's words but also their body language and tone. By fully immersing yourself in the conversation, you can better formulate relevant and meaningful questions. Active listening allows you to pick up on subtle cues that might not be immediately apparent, which can lead to more insightful questions and a deeper understanding of the speaker's message. Secondly, asking questions thoughtfully is just as important as formulating them. When you present your questions in a supportive and non-confrontational manner, it encourages the speaker to open up and share more. Following up on the speaker's responses with additional questions or reflections shows that you're engaged in the conversation and interested in exploring their thoughts further. This creates a more dynamic and collaborative dialogue, leading to richer and more meaningful exchanges. Successfully implementing thoughtful questioning takes practice, but the results are well worth the effort. First, make it a habit to ask open-ended questions in your daily conversations. This will encourage more in-depth responses and give the speaker an opportunity to share their thoughts more freely. Practice asking questions that go beyond the surface, and over time, this approach will become second nature. Reflection is also key to improving your questioning skills. After each conversation, take a moment to consider how your questions influenced the dialogue. Did they encourage the speaker to open up? Did they lead to new insights? Secondly, based on your reflections, make adjustments to your questioning technique. This might involve refining your approach to follow-up questions or learning to phrase your inquiries in a way that is more inviting. The goal is to continually improve your ability to ask thoughtful questions that foster deeper, more meaningful conversations. With practice and reflection, you'll become adept at steering conversations in a direction that leads to more productive and insightful outcomes. To practice thoughtful questioning, start by focusing on open-ended questions in your next conversation. These questions should prompt the speaker to share more about their thoughts and experiences, encouraging a deeper dialogue. Begin with phrases like, "Can you tell me more about that?" or "What was your biggest takeaway from that experience?" By asking these types of questions, you'll create space for the speaker to elaborate and reflect on their ideas. After the conversation, reflect on how your questions shaped the interaction. Did the speaker respond more openly or offer more detailed insights than usual? Consider how asking thoughtful questions affected the flow of the conversation and whether it led to a deeper understanding. This activity will help you sharpen your questioning skills and demonstrate the value of thoughtful inquiries in creating meaningful and productive conversations. In a real-world example, consider Hannah, a project leader who is conducting a debrief with her team. When one of her team members gives a vague response about how the project went, Hannah doesn't just accept the surface answer. Instead, she asks, "Can you tell me more about the specific challenges we faced?" This question encourages the team member to reflect more deeply on the project and provide valuable feedback that can help the team improve in the future. Hannah's thoughtful questioning not only elicits more detailed information but also shows her team that she is genuinely interested in their experiences and insights. This leads to a more productive discussion, where everyone feels heard and valued. By asking thoughtful questions, Hannah is able to guide the conversation in a way that fosters reflection and encourages continuous improvement. Malcolm Forbes once said, "The art of conversation lies in listening." This quote highlights the importance of not only hearing the speaker but also engaging with their message through thoughtful questioning. A meaningful conversation is built on both active listening and the ability to ask questions that deepen the dialogue. When you truly listen, you're able to ask questions that reflect the speaker's thoughts and encourage further exploration. By focusing on listening first, you create space for the speaker to share more openly. Thoughtful questions then build on that foundation, allowing the conversation to unfold naturally and meaningfully. In professional settings, this approach is particularly powerful as it fosters stronger relationships, promotes understanding, and leads to more productive exchanges. To master the art of asking thoughtful questions, it's important to keep a few key principles in mind. First, always aim to ask open-ended questions that invite detailed responses. These questions help move the conversation beyond surface-level answers and encourage deeper exploration of ideas. Second, when something is unclear, don't hesitate to ask for clarification. This ensures that you fully understand the speaker's message and avoids potential misunderstandings. Additionally, probing for deeper insights can enhance the quality of your conversations. Thoughtful probing questions encourage the speaker to reflect more deeply on their thoughts and experiences, leading to richer and more meaningful discussions. By focusing on these strategies, you'll become a more effective communicator and develop the ability to ask questions that foster genuine understanding and connection.
Ever feel like you're talking but nobody's listening? Like you're on one side of a giant soundproof window?
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like talking to a brick wall, isn't it?
Exactly. So frustrating. And the thing is, it might not even be them. It might be us.
You might be onto something there. We often think we're listening, but are we really?
That's what we're diving into today. We're tackling Chapter 5, Active Listening, enhancing your ability to understand and connect. Get ready to transform those conversations that feel like they're going nowhere.
Active listening, it's a buzzword, sure, but there's real power in it. And it's way more than just hearing the words someone's saying.
It's like we think we're listening, but are we really absorbing, really connecting with what's being said?
Exactly. It's about being present, not just physically in the room, but mentally and emotionally present in the conversation.
Love that. So where do we even begin with this whole active listening thing?
Well, the source material breaks it down into some key areas. First up, mastering the art of full attention.
Oh, here we go. I can already feel my inner teenager rolling their eyes. Does this mean I have to put my phone down?
Well, it's a start, but it's more than that. Think about it. You can be looking right at someone, but your mind is a million miles away, right?
Oh, don't I know it? Especially when someone's droning on about something.
We've all been there. And that's exactly what we need to avoid. It's about creating a space where the other person feels heard, valued.
It's like that example they give in the material with Sarah and Chris.
Oh, yeah, poor Chris. Giving that presentation, pouring his heart into it, and Sarah's glued to her inbox, totally oblivious.
Ouch. Talk about deflating. Though, if we're being honest, we've all been Sarah at some point, haven't we? Thinking we can multitask our way through a conversation.
Absolutely. But active listening, that takes focus. It's about hitting the pause button on everything else and just being present in that moment. It's about shifting from me mode to we mode.
Me mode to we mode.
Yeah.
I like that. But how do you do that? I mean, I know I catch myself planning out what I'm going to say next instead of really listening.
It's natural. We've all been there.
But isn't there more to it than that? What about our own baggage? Like our biases and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. The source material talks about how our brains love to take shortcuts, and not always in a good way.
Like what?
Well, there's confirmation bias. We tend to latch onto information that confirms what we already believe.
Well, tell me about it. I see that one in action all the time.
Right. And then there's the halo effect. If we already like someone, we're more likely to overlook their flaws. And the opposite is true too, of course.
So if we already think someone's got a terrible haircut, we're going to notice every single thing we don't like about them.
Pretty much. Our brains can be brutal. But the key is to be aware of these biases, these filters we're putting on everything.
Easier said than done, though, right?
It definitely takes practice. But try to approach conversations like you're hearing things for the first time, with a beginner's mind. You might be surprised by what you discover when you let go of those preconceived notions.
I love that, a beginner's mind. Okay, so we're fighting against our brain's natural tendency to jump to conclusions. But what about empathy? That feels like a huge part of active listening, right?
It's essential. Empathy, really putting yourself in the other person's shoes, it's the magic ingredient for connection. Even if you don't agree with someone, you can still strive to understand where they're coming from.
It's about respecting their experience, not necessarily adopting their viewpoint.
Exactly. And, sometimes just validating someone's feelings can make a world of difference.
So even if I don't agree with someone's perspective, I can still say something like, that sounds really frustrating, or I can see why you're upset.
Exactly. It shows you're really trying to understand their experience, and that can be incredibly powerful. And it's not just about words either.
Body language.
You got it.
Right.
Making eye contact, nodding along, even your posture, it all contributes to creating that feeling of being heard and understood.
It's like our bodies can say so much more than our words sometimes.
Absolutely. All right, so we've talked about full attention, battling those sneaky biases, and tapping into empathy. What about asking the right questions?
Now that feels like a superpower. Knowing what questions to ask to keep a conversation flowing, to really understand what someone's saying.
It's an art, for sure, and it can completely change the dynamic of an interaction. The source material talks a lot about the power of open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions. So instead of those yes or no questions that can feel like dead ends.
Exactly. Ask questions that invite the other person to share more, to elaborate on their thoughts and feelings.
Can you give me some examples? I'm all about making this practical. Hit me with those question-asking gems.
All right, so let's say instead of asking, did you have a good day? Which kind of feels like a setup for a one-word answer.
Yeah, it's like you're practically begging for yeah, fine.
Exactly. Try something like, what was the best part of your day?
Ooh, I like that. Gets them thinking, gets them talking.
Right. Or imagine you're in a work meeting, someone gives a quick update on a project. Instead of just saying, okay, cool, you could ask, what were some of the roadblocks you encountered?
Well, it's like you're showing genuine interest. You actually want to know the details.
Exactly. And sometimes you just need to ask a clarifying question. If something's not clear, don't pretend you understand. Just say something like, could you give me an example? Or just so I'm sure I'm with you, can you explain what you mean by?
It's about prioritizing understanding
Hmm.
over just like nodding along and hoping for the best.
Wow, this has been eye-opening. I always thought I was a pretty good listener, but after this deep dive, we can all benefit from brushing up on these skills, right? Think about it. When someone really listens to us, really gets us, it creates a connection you just don't get otherwise.
It's like this unspoken bond built on understanding and respect.
Precisely. And the best part, active listening, it's a skill you can practice every single day. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the art of active listening, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I'd say remember that every conversation, no matter how big or small, it's a chance to put these skills into practice. Go into those interactions with curiosity, ask those insightful questions, and just watch how your communication transforms. You might be surprised by the depth of connection you unlock, not just with others, but with yourself as well.